Constellation is sponsored by Ridge and their unique lineup of wallets, wedding bands, luggage, and a bunch of other stuff aimed at men and the men in your life. Right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off your order at ridge.com/con. That's RIDGE.com/CON. Just head to ridge.com/con to find the perfect gift for your dad or yourself. When you check out, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Give Dad the upgrade he deserves this year with a Ridge wallet, some Ridge luggage, a Ridge phone case, and more at ridge.com/con. Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our podcast network, head to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Welcome, everybody. We're glad to have you back for Constellation. Stelly, if you're nasty. Last Stand Media's conversational podcast. I'm your host, Dagster Moriarty, and I'm joined by three of my favorite, talking heads. Let's go around and introduce them. I'm going to start here today. The sinister Prime Minister of PlayStation, our boss, your favorite Colin. Probably your favorite Colin, right? I mean, definitely your favorite Chowder Man.
Colin, Chowder Man, yeah.
Could they have, maybe they like Colin Farrell better?
Colin Quinn.
Colin Quinn's another Colin.
Colin Mockery.
Colin. Who's that?
Isn't that the guy on Whose Line Is That Anyway? The Canadian guy?
Yes. Oh, he's my favorite Colin.
Well, because what bothers me is when you type in COLIN space MO. It's Mockery, then Moriarty. My God,
very close.
Fucking bitch.
That's the closest
You're the
Colin.
second most famous Colin is what you're telling me.
Oh,
right?
no, I'm probably in the top 10, you would assume, maybe.
That's
Colin's not
good.
a common name because it's too close to colon. Trust me, I know.
Yes, you do. And I am in the top 25 Dagans. Kyle, what's going on today, my friend?
Nothing. There's actually a Dagan. I only know one other Dagan. I know another Dagan, and he works at PlayStation.
So I'm definitely not the best Dagan then.
And there was a Dagan you knew that was a girl, right? Or Allie knew that like a black girl named Dagan or something like that.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Like an African girl,
if I knew,
off the boat African girl. It's not
okay.
Everyone's like, why is it relevant that she's black?
Fair enough, strong here, Kyle. Keep it up.
Everything's fine. It's Friday. Been a long week. Much to do. I was just seeing that the new Elden Ring spinoff Night Rain has already sold 2 million copies. Could you guys have any less taste? It's like crazy to me.
It's a good time.
But yeah, I'm just hanging out, ready for the weekend. Been watching playoff hockey and just dicking around, as they say. It's been rainy.
I know.
Yeah, it's been a little.
It's a bit
rainy.
much with the rain now.
Yeah, it's. I like the rain. Like I remember these really dry. Last year was really dry. I always talk about summer 2005. I just remember it because it fucking didn't rain. And you could actually go look, like there's no rain. If you go look at like historical data on Long Island, because that's where I was. And so it's nice to have a little bit of rain. You know, everything's kind of growing. Everything responds to it. The grass is roaring. The flowers are blooming. And so on and so forth. But
look at you.
So I don't mind it too much. But yeah, a little more balance because I got to mow the lawn and the lawn's too wet. So many rookies out there mowing a wet lawn.
Yes.
Come on, guys.
Can't do that.
Grow up.
That's the first thing I learned. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, the landscapers I feel bad for because they got to keep the money coming in. It's all,
right.
You know, with them, it's all like they have to hit all their clients week after week. It's like they operate at such a margin. Like I can't believe what my landscaper charges to mow the lawn. It's like, how is it even possible that this is lucrative?
What is it, like $50 or something?
It's not even.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I think it's just like a strike team mentality of volume.
Pure volume.
It's so, I always think about it. It's so competitive. It seems like it's such a competitive field.
Yeah.
There's like 4 different companies that just like mow like different lawns in just our development alone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like these guys must be like hating each other. They give each other dirty looks at times. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit. Do you mow your own lawn, Matty?
I do not. I used to. I do not anymore though.
Bitch made.
Yeah. Once we got it's actually gonna sound really privileged. Once we got a bigger lawn, like I used to mow the lawn at my parents' house, much smaller. Then we got a bigger lawn, and I was just like, when we moved in, they already had like someone who was set up mowing the lawn. Laylee's like, yeah, it's like $40. I was like, 40? It's like, fuck yeah, keep that. I was like, buy myself a little bit of time every week.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
Yeah, it's enough. Yeah,
I like it. But I live on I have a small lawn. I live on a small plot. I can mow my lawn, weed whack, blow, and everything in like 45 minutes or an hour. It's not a big deal. And I do it push mower. But I totally hear
It's
you.
Free exercise, you know. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, if I had a bigger lawn like the one we grew up on Long Island, I wouldn't. We did mow that lawn because our dad wouldn't obviously ever hire a landscaper. But
he paid us though.
He did, and he paid me a lot. Like I think about in hindsight, our dad wasn't. I don't want to call him cheap. He's frugal. He's a little cheap. But even back in the day, because I remember a TIE Fighter in 1995 was $25, and he was like, "Just mow the lawn, and I'll buy you the TIE Fighter."
Oh, you made like, 25.
Yeah,
I made 20.
I made 20.
Oh, okay. I did
he
too.
like
right,
boosted it up, but I was like, that's still a lot of money, actually, even today.
I agree.
$20 to mow. I wish someone paid me $20 to mow my own lawn. That would be fucking sick.
Yeah, that inflation hasn't kept pace. Like $20, let's say in the early to mid 90s, and I'm sure Matty's paying 40. I'm paying about 40. Right? You feel like it would be more,
right?
With the cost.
That's what I expected.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this would be hundreds.
Right, like or 100 or something. And then and even with gas, like younger people don't realize, like in 1995, I'm telling you, gas was 80 cents a gallon. Like,
it was.
So like it's crazy that the prices haven't gone up, just considering all the gas power that they have to use and stuff as well, with $4 gallons or whatever it is, $3.
That's nuts. What a change. Kyle, the other thing I'm realizing is you weren't on the show last week.
No, 2 weeks in a row.
I had seen some conversation in the YouTube comments and the Discords and stuff about people get very aggravated when we mention that it's Friday when we're recording, because they get this early in the week.
Sucks for you.
So it's the opposite of Friday. They don't want to be reminded like, oh my God, like I got another 5 days to get through the work week. But you got to understand the energy of coming into this show is that the weekend is in the offing. That's part of the vibe, I feel like. We have to kind of mention that.
Yeah, well, the opposite of Friday is Yadriff. But it's such a fucking stupid joke. That was one of the worst jokes I ever told.
Me to laugh at it.
It's one of the worst jokes I've ever told in my life. Yeah, I hear you. I can only talk through the context of how I'm living right now.
This is how it is. This is how it is.
Well, it's good to be here with you guys. I'm sorry I haven't been here for a couple of weeks, but I should be more present. In fact, Locke and I think, are doing Summon Sign together. So you'll see a lot of us together in the coming couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Europe, to my favorite Belgium. My second favorite product of Belgium after Stella Artois.
That's understandable.
Locke. That's fair, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's fair.
I like you, but not as much as Stella. What's going on, my dude?
I'm good. I just got off work today, but yesterday was, I think, a national holiday here because we didn't have to work. But today, when I came into work, I work at the network, so I was in the studio, but nobody else was there because everybody took a day off, I guess. So I was practically the only one there, which was very weird and scary because I was alone in this big studio. But I made it out, and I barely made it home in time for this. But I'm so glad I did because I'm looking forward to talking to you guys,
nice,
like always. So I'm very happy to be here. Very happy to see you guys. It's hot here, which I really don't like. So summer already started here. But I took this. I rented this apartment because I have AC here. So now I'm happy. It's just
I was going to make a snide comment about turning on your air conditioner.
I knew you were. That's why I said it. So it's blowing in my face right now. So I'm very happy.
Very well.
So I'm not going crazy. This is a new setting that we're seeing you in.
No, it's the same setting. I used to have my office downstairs because when I had the YouTube channel with Matty told me you need a background. You need a better background. Okay. So I hold my whole office downstairs, made like a background there. but now I
feel bad. Now we don't do it anymore. So it's just like move your shit back upstairs.
You guys aren't doing your thing anymore? It's over?
No.
We stopped a while ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we stopped in this January.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Why,
after
it
December.
just wasn't working, or you didn't want to do it
Yeah,
anymore?
it was just
I
time.
just couldn't work with Matty anymore. Horrible.
Yeah, he couldn't stand me. I was like, this fucking guy. No, it was
Give me a lot
honestly
of
just
tension.
time. The Reddit comments were right when they were blowing up my spot that April. They were like, "There's no way he can last." I'm like, "Fuck you guys."
It's going to be a lot of tension this episode. Matty, what's going on, my dude? Kyle, even I knew that. These guys stopped at the end of 2024, right?
Yeah, I didn't know.
I had them both on the show. That's why I was privy to it.
Yeah, I mean, I should be more engaged with what everyone's doing, but I'm just... Frankly, I'm just not.
I hear that. I hear that.
Frankly, I'm just not. I could like barely keep up with my own life. And my own life's not even that hectic.
Matty, what's new, dude?
I'm a little sick. I'm doing all right. Like, I don't know if it's one of those things where you're like a tweener type sick. Like, I don't know if I'm allergies right now, or I was at like my brother-in-law's daughter, whatever term that would be. It was her 3rd birthday. And so
Your
a
niece.
ton of kids running
That'd be your
around.
niece.
Yes, niece. Thank you. Her, right.
That girl.
Yeah. But what was I saying? Yeah, so there was a ton of kids there, so I could have got sick from that, but I haven't been sick in a while. So this is like new to me. So it's been since like COVID, really, that I've like actually come down with something where like, oh, this is lasting longer than like I just woke up and I'm like getting the crust out of my eyes and I'm like, oh, I just need some water. It's hung with me. Like my right nostril gets clogged, a little sore throat. I'm like, man, unfamiliar feeling here. So pushing through for a little stelly, but feeling good otherwise because my Oilers have made it to the Cup again. We got a little Cup rematch
Yeah, I saw that.
coming up. So nervous, excited, like happy they made it. But honestly, the last team I wanted them to see again was the Panthers. But both teams look, it's interesting because both teams look really good and are just have like steamrolled everyone they played. So apologies to the audience. I'm the one starting the sports talk, but yeah, feeling good because of that. We're a week away from the Xbox showcase. So it's that time of year where you're just excited to see all the new things happening, all the exciting trailers. And so yeah, in a good vibe, despite feeling a little under the weather here. Happy to be here.
I definitely don't want the Oilers to win because it is so funny that the Canadians have not won a Stanley Cup in 32 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
You don't want Big David to make a little
maybe when
history for himself?
when the Oilers blow their team up because they can't win the cup and then he plays on the Kings like Gretzky or something. And then I actually like the Oilers. I like that team.
I love them
so
much.
I think they have a great chance. But Did you see what DeBoer said about Ottinger after the game last night? It was so
what did he say?
funny. He basically just blamed him he was like, the reality is he's lost 6 of the 7 games to the Oilers and stuff. It was like the craziest thing I've ever seen a coach talk about his goalie before. And I'm like, dude, you have like one of the great goalies in the league.
He yanked him after 2 goals. Literally 2 goals, 2 shots. And I mean, one of them, he kind of got left in no man's land. So I don't really blame him for it. But yeah, I know he was like immediately because like, I guess Odger went to go for a skate in the middle of like after those 2 goals were given up, like called a timeout and he went to go for a skate and DeBoer was like, get the fuck back here and just pull them. So right there, I was like, oh, it's over. Like they're in their head so bad that they just pulled fucking Ottinger. But
yeah, he said anytime you pull a goalie, the reasoning is to always try and spark your group. So that's the number one reason. We had talked endlessly in this series about trying to play with the lead. And obviously we're in a 2-0 hole right away. I didn't take that lightly and I didn't blame it all on Jake. But the reality is if you go back to last year's playoffs, he's lost 6 of 7 games to Edmonton.
I'm not blaming him, but he kind of fucking sucks against Edmonton.
I was like, that fucking rules. Holy shit. He must think he's going to get fired, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so no, I think the Oilers have a great shot. What do you think about all the controversy with the Panthers as far as being good because of the no salary cap, or I'm sorry, no income tax in Florida thing? That's a big conversation right now that they're so good because they can pay everyone less.
It kind of comes with the territory. I don't know. I think they were already a good team, in my opinion, before they started to make full use of that. Like I always thought, like I played like fantasy hockey, so I was like always big on Alexander Barkov. Like I loved him. So I always thought like when they had Marchessault, he was really good for them at the time. Like they always had like really good players. So I felt like it was only a matter of time before they turned it up. So I feel like it's kind of cheap to blame that. I honestly take more issue with how they play because they do like they're on 4K multiple times hitting to injure. And That is the thing I always take issue with. Like you see them like literally lunging off their skates with the elbow out. And I'm just like, Jesus, dude. Like I've never seen a team more deliberate about it. That's the thing I do give them shit for. Like they're headhunting and they will like try to take you out of the game to make their jobs easier. And I'm like, that's soft. So that's the problem I have with them as a team right now. But, you know, the Lightning did the same thing. And the Lightning, frankly, I'm trying to think like, I feel like the Lightning had the bigger names and paid, you know, they got like Kucherov and Vasilevsky. Like they had all these guys that were like huge names eventually.
Stamkos.
Yeah, Stamkos, of course. Yeah, how could I forget? I forgot he went to Nashville, I think. But yeah, with the Panthers, it's like I don't feel like they outside of like Bobrovsky, I'm like, who did they really hunt down that was like a huge name that like they're really weaponizing their income tax in their favor? I'm like, I feel like they're just a really rock solid team. So
yeah, I also think it doesn't explain all the years they were bad. So
yeah,
that's like a good point as well. Yeah, I was just curious what you thought of that. I mean, it's a boring thing for most people, but
well, let me give you guys my take on hockey. I have no stakes in NHL, but here's the thing: I'm going for the Oilers. Give the Canadians hockey. Let them have it. It's all they have up there.
It's true.
Let a Canadian
It literally
team,
is true. When I went to Edmonton, they literally have nothing but hockey.
Give them
It's truly
hockey.
all they fucking have up there.
were you there for BioWare? Was that what you went?
No, I was there for a hockey tournament actually. But when I was there, it was literally, we were at a resort. It was gambling and then stretches of nothing but fucking like oil fields and farms and some hockey rinks as you pass by. That literally all they have is hockey and grocery stores.
But that's what makes it so funny.
They love it. They love it so much. Kyle, apologies to you, but American hockey, no, get fucked. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah. When it comes to the Raptors, the Blue Jays, sorry, Toronto, you could get fucked. I don't care. But hockey, we should give it to the Canadians.
Yeah, I mean, they've certainly. It is. The Canadians are the last team. The Canadians with an E are the last team to have won a Stanley Cup, and that was in 1993. I remember that because they played the Kings with Gretzky and Robitaille and all those guys. I remember that series really well, and they steamrolled them. I think it was 4-1. And I was 10, and I remember that because, or I was 9 actually, and I remember that because I used to get this magazine. I don't know if it still exists. Matty would probably know better than me. It's called Hobart's. It was a Canadian hockey card magazine.
I've never heard of that.
And in the back of it, I used to go to this like mom used to bring me to this like store. I used to buy hockey cards and shit. And then there was this magazine I'd buy and I'd read it. And then on the back, it was addresses to all the NHL teams. Like you could write to them. And so I used to write to all of them and just be like, will you send me any? And like, you know, just like as a fan, like I'm a fan, I'm from, and like 1 in 5 would send you something.
Send you some stickers.
I got like a huge package from the Sharks. I remember one year, cool. They would often send you the team picture. Mm-hmm. And I have the team picture of the Canadians with the cup from that year.
Oh, I love that.
That's cool.
And Patrick Waugh is obviously center and all, who's now the coach of the Islanders and so on and so forth. So, so I remember that cup especially well because the next year the Rangers won and I wanted to blow my fucking brains out. Even at like 10 or 11 years old, I was like, I can't stand this. Worse. I can't believe this. And then it was the Devils and then like the Red Wings, the Avalanche and so on and so forth were winners. But
so a Canadian hockey team hasn't won the Stanley Cup in that's got to be a great source of shit. You guys should be ashamed of yourself in Canada.
It's just, well, the crazy thing is that just mathematically, you would think they would have at least stumbled into one of them.
Yeah, because there's how many teams up there?
There's 7, I think. It's like the Canucks, the Oilers, the Flames, the Jets, the Canadians, the Maple Leafs, and the Senators. I think that's 7.
Yeah.
I think that's all of them. And yeah, none of them have... The Oilers were in it last year. I don't remember when the last time a Canadian team was in it before that. I think the
Canadians during... Was it the COVID year or something like that? Or the
year right.
Oh. Yeah.
The Canadiens.
Yeah. The Maple Leafs continue to near miss.
I love it. Oh, I hate the Maple Leafs. You see, I have to explain this to people is that this is a very obscure thing, but the Maple Leafs and the Islanders played in a playoff series in 2002. And it was the first time the Islanders had made the playoffs in years. I think since they lost to the Rangers the year the Rangers won the cup, the Islanders didn't make the playoffs at all from 94 to 2002. And I went to those games. Mom used to date a guy named Mike. Remember him?
Oh yeah, of course.
He was a really sweet guy.
Yeah, he was.
They dated for several years. He was Dutch actually. And he owned a greenhouse company on Long Island. And he would bring me to Islanders games. He was a really nice guy. And I was a senior in high school, and the Islanders played the Maple Leafs, and it was a famous game. People can go look it up. I believe it was the Long Island game, so 3 or 4, I guess, where there was a penalty shot. Sean Bates got tripped on a breakaway, and he scored. And the place, I've never been to a sporting event where it was fucking crazier. I was like, this is awesome. I'll never, ever, ever forget it. And I still have the rally towel in my closet, in my walk-in closet, like just hanging there. From 2002, that was like a glory day. And we lost that series, and I always kind of hated them since then. But then John Tavares goes to the Maple Leafs. And he says he goes to win a Stanley Cup. Well, the contract's over, John.
What happened?
How did that go?
How did that work out?
The Islanders, in fact, made it to the Stanley Cup, the Eastern Conference Finals without you twice. They made it further than you without you twice. You've never played in the Eastern Conference Finals, John. And there's a good chance you probably never will. So I just wanted to remind him of that.
Thank you for that.
I know he's listening.
I'm going to save you guys by bringing up something even less interesting.
Yeah, please.
Is it Leaves or Leafs?
It's Leafs. Leafs.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's the plural of leaf?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Not just in the team
I never
name.
thought of that.
Plural of maple leaves, like not common or, proper noun is Leaves.
Then it is.
Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs is MAPLE space LEAFS.
Oh, that's wild. That's insane. I did not know that. See, I told you it was going to be less interesting.
No one calls them that. Bless you. The Toronto Maple Leafs. No one says that. But that is the spelling of it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Leave it to Toronto.
Constellation is sponsored by Ridge and their unique lineup of wallets, wedding bands, luggage, and a bunch of other stuff aimed at men and the men in your life. Learn more now at ridge.com/con, that's CON, and see what they might have on offer for you and yours. So Father's Day is right around the corner, and as we all know, it's often difficult to find the right item for your dad, or for the dad in your life, your husband, your godfather, whatever. Hell, I'm only the father of 2 Boston Terriers, and I barely know what to buy myself. This is where Ridge comes in. Ridge was founded back in 2013, and you may recall that in that year, they kickstarted their very first wallet. It was a smash hit, and fast forward all of these years later, Ridge is a thriving California-based company selling wallets and other accessories to men around the country and around the world. A lot of men, actually. They've sold more than 5 million of their wallets to date. They offer more than 50 colors and styles of wallets, and they all follow the same mantra. Streamlined, crafted from stainless steel, titanium, and carbon fiber, and even integrated with RFID blocking technology since there are so many dirtbags in the world forever trying to steal your info. The Ridge wallet holds up to 12 cards in cash. It has a thin footprint, so you're not like George Costanza trying to sit on his ridiculous wallet full of receipts and business cards. And they even offer an AirTag attachment just in case you misplace or lose your wallet. Kinda cool, right? Of course, as noted earlier, Ridge has a bunch of other stuff for men too. Hardy wedding rings, phone cases, travel bags, and so on. There's something here for every man in your life, and even for yourself, man. Right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off your order at ridge.com/con. That's RIDGE.com/CON. Just head to ridge.com/con to find the perfect gift for your dad or yourself. When you check out, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Give Dad the upgrade he deserves this year with a Ridge wallet, some Ridge luggage, a Ridge phone case, and more at ridge.com/con.
My friends, well, listen, I'm excited to have you guys. We got a couple of nice topics here. I wasn't sure where to start, but I think because Locke and Matty have topics that could be pretty deep, entertaining, could be fun. Definitely fun, but also kind of deep, kind of, ones that are going to involve some storytelling, some conversation. I think I'm going to put Matty Monkey in the middle and start with Locke. I'm going to roll the dice on this. Either way, it's going to be fine either way. But Locke, I'll say no more. I'll let you launch right into your thing.
Sure. Well, 2 weeks ago, I woke up and I was very sick. Like I couldn't breathe. I had to cough the whole time. And I'm hardly ever sick. Hardly ever happens. Last year I had like some issue with my teeth, but other than that, I never really get sick. So I couldn't breathe. I was coughing a lot. So I figured like, this is it. I have COVID. And it has to be COVID. Can't be anything else. Because a week before I went out with some people from work and I figured, well, that's obviously where I got it. So, well, screw me. I'll just go to the doctor. I never go to the doctor. I think the last time I went there was 3 years ago, maybe. So I went to the doctor and immediately when he saw me, he told me like, oh, you're very much overweight. It's like, yeah, I know, but that's not
Thanks,
why I'm here. Like, yeah, I know I need to lose weight, sir. But he, so I explained to him what was going on, and we did like a COVID test, and I didn't have COVID. So I was like, oh, great. That's good news. But he immediately said, well, that's not very good news, because that means it's something else. Like, you clearly don't have the flu. It's not COVID. So we're going to do some tests. So he took my blood. He listened to my lungs. He took my blood. We took some pictures of my lungs. And he told me to call back later that evening. So I figured all day long, like, uh-oh. This is it. It's finally catching up to me. This is the end. So later that night or later that evening, I called him and he told me it's not cancer. You don't have to worry. But you do have COPD, which is also pretty serious. That's like emphysema and causes other diseases in your lungs that can ultimately lead into cancer if you don't be careful. So he told me, so I asked him, okay, well, what do I do? He told me, well, it's very simple. You quit smoking today, right now, and tomorrow you're going to start losing weight. And if you don't, you're going to die. So I told him, okay, well, I guess I don't have a choice anymore. I guess
my arm here.
Guess I have to quit smoking then. So I did. And today is the second week starts today that I haven't touched
very good.
A cigarette. And normally that would worry me a lot. And normally I would crawl up the walls and I would go nuts because I've been smoking for like 20 years. But the doctor gave me like these little puffs I have to take. And I sound like Darth Vader when I take them, but they open up my sinuses and open up my lungs. So I didn't really have any issue quitting smoking so far. We're only 2 weeks out. I imagine now that I'm better again, that the withdrawal symptoms will start coming. But so far, it's been pretty decent. But I think the only reason that it's going pretty well is because he told me I had to, and I didn't have a choice anymore. Because normally, in the rest of my life, I have very little discipline unless there's no other way. Like, I get my most creative when my back is against the wall and I have no way out and I have to figure a way out of this. This happens a lot in my life when I'm broke, for instance, and I need money. That's when I get the most creative. That's when I deliver my best work. That's when I do the best editing jobs too. That's when I would just work the best. So I'm someone who needs deadlines and structure, and I need to be with my back against the wall, and then I can perform my best, which is very stupid, really. But that's how my brain works, I guess. It also makes me feel alive, which is very stupid, I guess. But whenever I'm in trouble, whenever I'm broke and I need to figure something out, and I do figure something out, I'm so proud of myself. I'm always like, oh, hell yeah, I did it. I got out of it again. I've never been in debt, or I've never had I've never been evicted. Of course, it's never gotten to that point because I've always managed to get myself out of it. And that makes me feel alive. I don't know the right term. Maybe alive is not the right term, but it makes me feel like I accomplished something important. But that is, of course, not very healthy and not very good, I think. So I wanted to ask you guys, what motivates you, and if you have a lot of discipline, and how do you exert that discipline? How do you restrain yourself from doing stupid stuff, or how do you make yourself do the daily routines that are healthy for you? Do you lose weight somehow, or what do you do from day to day to keep yourself disciplined? Would be my question to you guys. Colin, why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. I was just taking notes. So I guess it's about agency to me, things you can control versus things you can't. And I don't, it's obviously like a mental condition of some sort, but I am extremely obsessive. And I'm not like OCD where I'm like, fucking putting everything in a straight line stuff. Although I do a little bit of that kind of stuff, but not really. Like I'm not quite like that, which is like its own thing, and that's fine. But I am like very mentally, and Dagan would know this from me, from like I get very into things and I delve deeply into them, and I like understanding very specific things. And I like doing that with lots of different stuff. But I'm like very myopic with different things. Our dad used to say to me, he's like, you just become obsessed with and like really into one thing, and then you move on to the next thing, but you kind of keep the old thing and then you move on to the next thing. Like nothing is just a casual thing. You were never casually into hockey. You were never casually into Star Wars. You were never casually into G.I. Joe. You were never casually into anything. You're not casually into the Jets. You're not casually into Mega Man. You're not a casual drummer. You're not. And it's like, yeah, I like doing what I do and having some control over it. But I also understand that I don't have full control over my own life. And so I know that I am as weak as any other person. I refuse to give up certain vices, even though it would obviously be better for me. And you have to deal with, you rationalize them and then have to deal with the consequences of it. I think about my own smoking. I don't smoke tobacco, but I smoke marijuana, and I have for almost 25 years, pretty much daily, since I was in college. And I'm not proud. I don't say it out of pride. I'm not proud of it. It's a thing that I just do. I like. It's my vice. That's what I always say. It's like, it's my vice. I've never done a hard drug intentionally. And we all know my opium story, but I've never done a hard drug intentionally. And, I've done mushrooms and things like that, but I'm not a drug guy. I don't do coke or anything. I've never even tried it. I've been around a shit ton of it. It always made me a little uncomfortable, so I'm not like a very hardcore drug person. And I love to drink. And that was the thing that I did try to monitor and stop doing more, because I realized how much I liked it. And the one thing Micah and I were talking about recently is that, because she saw me really drunk, like lit up for the first time. Actually, when we were in California for the show.
Oh, okay.
Ramon and I got like really drunk that night. And I was telling her, I'm like, I love getting drunk. I'm a very nice, pleasant person to be drunk around. I'm just weird and funny or whatever. I'm not a mean drunk. I've never gotten into a fight. I've been around very antagonistic, fucking insane drunk people.
Yes.
Relationships with them, friendships with them, whatever. And I've never been like that. So it wasn't about that to me. It was simply about like, wow, I realized this late basically in my career at IGN and in Kind of Funny, where I was like, I'm drinking almost every day. Right. Like, and enjoying it and noticing that people are like, wow, you can drink a lot, and even I think Dad said that to me once when we were hanging out, like,
oh really?
Like drinking old fashions at dinner and stuff, and like same thing when I was smoking weed with them, and he's like, you smoke this whole thing? Like, yeah, Dad, I do, like 7 times a day.
I remember that.
So I don't have full control over my life, and I have very little discipline in that regard, but I knew that if I wanted to say I have my vice, then I knew I needed to cut something back, and it was the drinking. That's why I stopped collecting bourbon. Now I drank it all. But I used to buy, I mean, people could go look at old pictures on social media. I had like 70 bottles of bourbon at one time, and I would move through them and drink them and make cocktails and always go out to eat. And that was very much part of our culture, and just drinking so much. And so to me, it's like, it's not about cutting out everything from your life, even though I guess if someone came to me and was like, you have a serious health quandary, you need to make a change, I would do that, like what happened with Locke. But I try to like have as much control over myself and discipline to at least like just limit my vices to certain things, and then kind of make excuses about it. And the weird thing about marijuana, I think, is this came up in a different context recently, is that I've never had a doctor give a shit. Like ever.
Really?
Yeah. I always bring it up because I want it to be in my notes, and I want to know, they'll be like, how often do you drink? And now it's like, I drink like once a week. And they're like, okay, how often do you? And it's like when we go out to dinner. Now it's summer, so I have beer in the house, but that wouldn't be like a fall, winter, spring thing for me. And I have a pretty strict no brown liquor thing in my house, not because of any other reason than I'm just going to get drunk all the time. But then they're like, all right, so do you smoke? And I'm like, yeah, I smoke marijuana like every day. And they're like, yeah, but tobacco? And I'm like, no, I've never really been a tobacco smoker. And they're like, okay. And then they just move on. No one's ever lingered on it. And it's made me feel like, knock on wood, that I'm like somehow immune to like any of the, the doctors seem to believe that there are no health consequences for this. And to me, I was always like, really? It seems almost too good to be true. But I do understand the argument that if compulsive marijuana use was really bad for you, you'd have a lot of hippie generation, like boomers, and certainly Gen X dying of lung cancer. And it doesn't exist. That never happened. Right. And I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. So it probably is about and I also say, as someone who's smoked many cigarettes in my life, I mean, I'm not a cigarette smoker, but I always casually smoke one if I'm at a casino or drinking or whatever. And they're so much harsher than marijuana. It's like crazy harsh compared to marijuana. Like I still cough when I smoke a cigarette sometimes, which is hysterical, as if I've never smoked before in my life. So I know that there's like a different energy and shit to it. I get that. But part of me feels like I want to be more disciplined to like ultimately cut that out as well, because if there are health consequences, I'll have to own it. And I do. I'm clear-eyed about it. I'm not going to like, look up at the sky and scream and be like, why me? It's like, I knew that there was something off about this, but so anyway, I don't mean to go on a diatribe. So to me, it's about agency. And I think that there are things in people's control and things out of people's control. So I get a little annoyed when I see people make excuses about discipline with certain things that they can control. And I think it's like smoke forever if you want. I don't care. I mean, I don't want people to smoke if they're going to get sick, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. Drink and eat and all those kinds of things. But when people say like, oh, I'm obese and I have an eating problem, it's like, yeah, because you are putting food into your mouth. You have the control over that. And I say that as someone who eats like shit. And the only reason that I'm not obese is because I made a massive OCD, like obsessive decision a long time ago, 15 years ago, that I'm just going to fucking do crazy amounts of cardio and hope for the best. And fast and all that kind of stuff. Sure. So I am fairly disciplined in this regard. And but I always try to have a carrot on the stick. I always try to encourage myself with different techniques to stay focused. And a lot of that stuff, I do feel like a lot of my discipline and motivation is leaving me as I get older, but I think it's because I've been doing the same things for so long and have found a reasonable amount of success where I don't have to worry so much anymore. And it's what you were saying, Locke, is like when your back's against the wall, it's like, yeah, I've made awesome moves when my back's against the wall. My back hasn't really been against the wall in a long time. I don't want that. I would rather never have those situations ever again. I'm good with all of those situations, but I totally hear what you're saying there. And I think
sidestepping drinking, Kyle, knowing potentially it could be a problem for you, not really knowing, but maybe knowing I would probably enjoy this a little too much. That shows a lot of discipline because your back is nowhere near against the wall. Yeah. That shows even more discipline to me.
Right. And that was what I was kind of trying to explain to Micah is like the funny thing about drinking for me is that a lot of people are like, oh, he drinks the fucking dole or he beats his wife or whatever. And I'm like, I'm never like that kind of, I've never been angry like ever.
Right.
And so there was no like mitigating factor that was like Colin is really abusive when he drinks, or Colin like flies off the handle or like things that you would be like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And so I really did have to check it for myself, but that's one of those things where it would only be my fault and that was why I realized it. It's like I buy alcoholism as a disease per se, but it's not really a disease. A disease is something you can't do anything about and you get and you're victimized by. I didn't want to go down that road of, dude, I can feel it even when I'm drinking a beer. Like I have a 12 pack of IPA. I drink like one a day when it's sunny out, like after work or whatever. After we're done working, I'll just sit on the porch and whatever. And I'm like, dude, I could do this all day. I get it. and in eras where like boredom, you're like a fucking serf or a farmer or something in like 1400, I'd be drunk all the time.
It's pretty fun.
No doubt.
It's pretty fun, dude.
No doubt. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. So I understand the consequences of a lack of discipline and I try to keep that within grasp for me, but I am not a totally controlled person. And the reality is that I think that my discipline comes from just making what I feel like are equitable deals with myself. Again, smoke, don't drink, eat like a fucking slob, but work out every day, like a lot. Try to concede something and, relax, but work hard. Buy yourself nice things, but save your money. Those kinds of things. So that to me, that's like the epitome of discipline.
Nice.
Love it.
Nice. I don't know if I told you this before, but 2 years ago, I used to smoke marijuana too, every single day for like 15 years, 20 years, I'm going to say. And 2 years ago, I quit because I thought I was getting paranoid because of it. I wasn't entirely sure, but I thought it was affecting my mental health. So I quit cold turkey 2 years ago and never smoked it again. And it didn't benefit me at all. But it also didn't give me like any negative elements either.
Okay.
The only thing that happened is that my dreams came back. So before that, I didn't dream for like 20 years. Wow. But when I stopped smoking marijuana, my dreams came back. I also nightmares. So maybe it's not advisable to do it. But it like you said, that's why doctors don't say anything about it. Because I thought when I quit smoking marijuana that I would feel better or feel more energized, but it really didn't do anything. It just saved me a lot of money by quitting.
Yeah, no, it's totally, it is expensive. And it's got to be doing something to my memory and like my brain, no doubt.
Maybe.
But I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on things. And the thing about my body is that I'm pretty athletic and still to this day. And I never really felt like a physical consequence from smoking ever, like in my lungs or anything. You know, those things that go around sometimes where it's like, hold your breath on Twitter or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, it's a little dot and it like goes along. And it's like, if you can get this far, you're this. And if you can get this far, you're this. And like, I can hold my breath like forever. And they say, it's like, yeah, your lungs are in great shape. And I'm like, yeah, it's so weird. How can that be? How could that be? You know, like it doesn't make sense. So I'm actually not so worried about the lungs and everything for me. I'm more worried about my brain, to be honest. And I think that what they say is that it's basically got just really bad implications for short-term memory as long as you do it. Okay. And that it kind of abates even for heavy users when you stop doing it. But the best I can do is that volumetrically I've cut back pretty substantially, but I still smoke every day. I mean, I vape, you know, here and there. I vape. It seems like I vape all day, but I really just vape during the shows. Because that's the one thing I appreciate about smoking cigarettes is just the oral fixation. Like I get it. I loved smoking things. And even when I smoke a bowl or a bong or whatever, it's like, I want to smoke a joint. And that's usually what I do is I love just smoking joints. I love it. In fact, I would do it if I could just buy like THC with like or weed with almost no THC in it. No CBD, just like some old person weed and just chain smoke joints all day because it's so nice. It's like wonderful. I get it. I get why people are into it. Just like I get why people drink. It tastes good. The burn, the refreshment, the like it's beckoning you.
Yeah, the buzz.
And the buzz.
We're creating like someone in real time is becoming an addict as we speak. Like, they're sitting there like, yeah, that sounds fucking good. Hey, give me a second real quick.
It is good. I mean, that's the thing, and you have to understand as an adult it is good, and it gets even better. You can be into fucking casual sex. You can be into hard drugs. You can be in like all those things are good. Or they feel good, but all of them have consequences. I mean, that's where everything comes with a price.
Yeah.
And mentally, spiritually, physically. So you got to like weigh those things and have a little bit of discipline. I think everyone's got to exercise a little bit. That's again why I don't understand. I get why how a person can get 300 pounds, like it's like, and like whatever. And I'm not making fun of people's weight. I'm not trying to say that. But when you see like a 600 pound life show or something, and it's like, dude. Seriously, I mean, you have any idea how much?
Dude,
like, I reflect on this a lot when it's on or we see something like when Mike or I are watching it. I'm like, you have to understand something, that to be that heavy and to stay that heavy, you have to eat so much. Like your body doesn't want to be that big and will immediately start burning through that shit if you just ate normally again. Even if you just ate 2,000 or 3,000 calories, but these people are eating like 10,000, and you have to sustain that. And I always think about offensive linemen in football where it's like, yeah, you got to bulk up, dude. You got to gain like 30 pounds. Like they have to try. You have to try to eat that much. You have to try to like keep it down and do all that. It's just crazy to me. And that's the epitome of a lack of discipline, where it's like, wow, man, like you have no fucking discipline at all. None. You've made no concessions. It's crazy to me. So you have to exercise some agency in your life, in my opinion, whatever that agency might be. And we all have our foibles and our downfalls, and people are way cleaner and way better than me. I mean, there's no doubt about, in terms of the things that keep them down and how they treat their bodies and, eat organic and they work out and they take this and they do that. I'm not like that. I was saying our dad recently on a phone conversation, it's like, everyone's always worried about these little things. And I'm like, dude, we're like made of like half plastic at this point. I think we have more, bigger fish to fry at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's fucking seed oil. It's like, dude, I have microplastic in my testicles.
And it's been there.
Yeah, and it's never going away.
Locke, when you were smoking weed, what was the primary delivery system? Was it joints? Was it vapes? Was it bongs?
No, just it's still illegal here. So you have to, first of all, you have to get it through other means. But it was just weed. Like, I have to roll it myself.
Okay.
Like, so just a pure product, which is why it was very strong too, the stuff I got, which was nice, but it was also very expensive because I had to get it illegally. We don't have vape pens here. That doesn't exist here because it's illegal.
Holy shit. I don't think, is that the case in most of Western Europe? Is it generally illegal everywhere?
Yeah, it's only legal in Holland, where it's been legal for forever. But that's the only place.
Right. That's the only.
You guys jumped way ahead of us in regards to that, because it was gonna be legal. It's illegal here, but if the cops catch you with it, they're not gonna do anything. They're not gonna arrest you. Like nobody really cares. Like if you
so it's at that state now.
Yeah, but it's not legal. Like you can't buy it. We don't have any coffee shops here or stuff or dispensaries. That doesn't exist here.
It really has accelerated here in the States, where I feel like a lot of shops I go into just selling it, man.
Yeah,
like, the whole thing, or like CBD is big now. I've always been big on CBD, but like that's like really big now, where you'll just find that, like, if you will, laced, probably not the right term, but like just infused with everything. Like my body wash, it's like Dr. Teal's, and it's like infused with hemp and CBD. Yeah. I'm like, okay, like this is just a thing now. It's like like one of those selling points now. It's like, we're going to make you feel better.
And it works for a lot of people.
Works for me. Yeah,
so I get it. Yeah. I definitely get it.
Yeah.
Locke, I want to say to you, congratulations on quitting smoking. As a fellow once smoker who, by the way, really enjoyed smoking. I fucking loved it. I've had that conversation with you where I would say I'm jealous of you smoking right now during the podcast because I miss it. Right. But I have to say, man, going cold turkey from my experience is the only way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm saying no nicotine patch, no nicotine gum, no treating yourself to one cigarette a day. Like, just stopping is the only way that I know is very effective. And I also have to say, in order to comfort you, and it sounds like you're doing a good job already, but you're almost over the hump. I would say if you could go 2 to 3 full weeks, then you would be home free. Not that you can't go back. I know people that have like smoked 3 packs a day, quit forever. And I know people that have smoked 3 packs a day, quit, and then go back somehow for some reason 2 years later.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. But with having your back again, so I'm very proud of you because I know it's tough. And I had to quit because my now 18-year-old, my whole impetus my story with smoking was funky anyway. Like, I started very late. I was 22 years old, right? When I started, just kind of ran with it to like such an insane degree right away, where I was smoking 2 packs a day for the first 2 years I was smoking. And that was my most heavy period. But here's the thing. I had like real crazy ground rules with it. Like, I wouldn't smoke during the day. I wouldn't smoke at work, and I wouldn't smoke when I was skateboarding. So I was smoking 2 packs a day at night, which is kind of insane, which was basically amounted to chain smoking. And then when my now 18-year-old was like 3 or 4, I was down to smoking very socially, like drinking with friends. If we had a barbecue at the house, I'd go into the garage because Helene never liked smoking, right? So I would go sneak a cigarette with whoever, an uncle or one of Helene's cousins or something, right? Like a dirtbag stealing some puffs in the garage. And when my daughter would see, she would get really upset. Oh. So that's why I stopped, because it really upset my baby girl, right? So it was like, all right. So, and it was not a big deal. Like, and it was just like cold turkey. I missed it sometimes. I missed it at the bar. And then, after a while, it's just like, all right, I could do with it. You do enjoy it, but you could do without it, So I am super proud of you for that, because it's tough. Smoking is, and I think Colin nailed it. Like, some of it is the chemical dependency and the nicotine, and it tastes delicious, but the other half is that habitual sort of, oral fixation, that thing to look forward to do, to give yourself a break. That light at the end of the tunnel when you're working hard, like, I'm going to put the 2 hours in, then I'm going to go outside on the balcony and get a puff, So it's tough because it becomes a whole way of life. It's not just the thing. It's the way you kind of build your life around that sort of stuff. And then you miss it, but you're doing good, man. And it's funny for a doctor. I've never seen, your doctor seems like the opposite of my doctor, who, like, you can't freak her out. She's just very chill about everything and has that bedside manner, very comforting bedside manner. She's never like one to like strike the red alert. But a doctor like that, I think, is good. A doctor like yours is good, where it's just like, all right, no bullshit. And without, too much exaggeration, right? Let's try to get this under control. So I think that's, or there could be problems, you know what I mean? And here's why. And so, you kind of you get scared straight, which sometimes you kind of need that in life, no matter what it is.
Well, what I also really appreciated about the doctor, because my friends told me, when I told my friends I need to lose weight, they told me, Ozempic, dude, it's so easy. Just ask your doctor. Mm-hmm. So I asked the doctor on the phone, I asked him, can I get that? He said, no, you're 40 years old. Go outside, go walk, eat less. Like, oh, well, okay. Awesome. I guess I'll do that. But yeah, so he's very strict, but very down to earth. So I appreciate that a lot.
I don't want to argue with a medical professional, but I can understand the concern about smoking, but I don't see, I mean, maybe you're carrying the weight very well here on camera, but I don't see the weight thing. Mm-hmm. I can't see it.
I'm not super obese, but I weigh too much for my age and
your height, for your size. Is that what they're? Okay.
I think in pounds, it's so different. I always get the equation wrong, but in kilograms, I'm 20 kilograms overweight. So I don't know how many pounds that is, but it's not.
It's 44 pounds.
Yeah, so it's doable. Okay. It's doable to get it off. It just requires a little bit of effort, which I have to put into.
Sure.
Do your favorite thing, running.
No. No, I'll just stop eating. I'll stop eating. That'll fix it.
You could do it. You could definitely do it. I mean, Locke, I'll tell you my one thing this is very topical for me because this is something I've struggled with for a long time. Being a night owl is I generally take pretty good care of myself, especially now that I'm getting older. I try to watch that. Helene's always the angel on my shoulder. Like, she takes very good care of herself in every way. And she's like, I want you to be around for, I plan on being here a while. Like, I want you to be with me for that time. So she kind of sets me straight, keeps me on the straight and narrow. But the one thing I really do struggle with is getting enough sleep, because while I like sleep a lot, it's just getting the discipline to get to bed. And knowing how much better I feel in a day or in a week when I'm getting that proper rest. Like, if we go down to the beach, I sleep really good at the shore. Like, there's something about the ocean air. Like, I swear by that. But if we go down to the beach on the weekends in the spring and summer, and I get that 8 or like maybe even 10 hours of really refreshing, really deep sleep, like, I know how much better I feel during the day than I'm here in the Philly burbs during the week working, and I get to bed for, at 2 and I wake up at 6. I feel like shit. I mean, there's a definite, kind of,
shit's like the norm.
It's just like, as a night owl, it's like, I like to sleep, but I feel like I want to do things. I want to be productive. I'm not the type that could just kind of shut the computer off after I work and go to bed. I need that like hour of downtime. So that's a thing that, but it's this kind of like, this effect and result thing of like, I do feel better when I get to sleep. So why can't I just discipline myself to get to bed at, let's say, 1 and wake up at 7, get the 6 hours, just get the 6 hours, compromise a little bit. You're not getting the 7 or 8, but the 6 will be enough, and just do that on a consistent basis, even for like a 2 or 3 week period straight. I just can't do it. I just really struggle with myself, even knowing how much better I'm going to feel. Which gets to the point where like Helene's like, just get hypnotized. Like, there's something wrong with you. Like, you can't, how much better your quality of life's going to be in just adopting this new approach to rest, and you still can't do it. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, there's something that you have like a mental block, and it's just like, I just don't want to go to sleep. I feel creative at night. I like the downtime when, I love my family, but no one's bothering me. Right. So it's like, I have that time to myself. So, but I really want to make an effort and try to find a way to just discipline myself to get more sleep. And even though I've tried in fits and starts throughout my adult life, I just can't seem to get a beat on it. You know what I mean? I just can't seem to get my hands around it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, get to sleep at 1, wake up at 7.
It's really bad for you, dude.
You need that, but your body really needs that time to heal, to rest, to get, like, I have to watch my blood sugar. So to get the blood sugar under control, it's not just it's not just exercise. It's not just diet. You got to get the rest too. Let your body sort of acclimate and recalibrate. So that's the one thing.
I was going to say, Dave, think about it. I was reading about something about this not too long ago. And I've thought about it, I guess, in the past, but like, think about sleep and like how everything sleeps. And it's been this thing that has been dragged forward evolutionarily through all species and all animals and organisms. And it leaves you so defenseless and eats into your time and your ability to do things. And yet it's been retained. And that shows how important it is.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. Very simple way of looking at it.
Yeah, is that like over time, all of these disadvantages and stuff are weeded out. But this fundamental thing, like bears go and sleep for fucking months. They're just sitting there. You have any idea like what you could just do to them? You know? But it's like vital to their. So I always think about that where it's like, you gotta, here's the thing about productivity to me is, and I get in not arguments with mom, but like, she's always like, oh, you go to bed so late and you get up so late. And I'm like, the time is all the same, dude. Like, what does it matter to you if I go to bed at 4 a.m. and get up at 1? You know, like, why do you give a shit? Right. And like, I'm still working and being productive just in a different time frame.
On a different schedule.
Yeah. I love going to bed late and I love waking up late. I mean, that's my whole life. And I feel bad. It's affected, I think, Micah in some sense. I mean, she's kind of more, we've morphed to each other's personalities and things that we do or whatever. And she's very much morphed to my sleep schedule. And I know she's not crazy about it. And part of me, she's like, I can't keep going to bed this late. And then part of me is like, then go to bed. Right? Like,
I thought she was on the same schedule as you.
No, she is virtually on the same, but she doesn't really want to be, or like, it's not more natural for her. And I'm like, I'm not putting a gun to your head, dude. Like, go to bed at fucking midnight if you want. Do you want? But to me, it's like, I've always been a late night person. And so I've just over time, I've accepted that about myself. It's always been that way. Yeah. Since I was in high school, college. The only time when I was working a real job, I had a more real schedule. But as soon as I can get out of that, and I was like kind of funny or whatever, I was right back to getting up at fucking as late as humanly possible, going to bed as late as humanly possible. And it's where I'm most comfortable. And you know what, for me, I just feel better at night. I feel like I feel good. I don't feel anxious. I don't feel crushed by anything. For some reason, I love the daylight. I love you got to get sunlight and the vitamin D and be outside and do all that. It's great. But something about the quiet of the night, the peace of the night, that has always really spoken to me.
Yeah, I think some people are just built that way. I know other sort of nocturnal people, and that's a thing. And you know, you've made it be able to, Kyle, you know, are very it's worked out for you because you could make a gel with your livelihood, right?
Oh, I'm very lucky in this regard. Yeah, very.
I mean,
lucky.
it's wonderful because it's the way you want to be. I love the hunter-gatherer thing that you mentioned, though. Like those people who had to put so much effort and energy and all of their resources to survival, but still had to sleep. That's like saying a lot. Right.
Or just think about like a mouse sleeps. You think it's safe when it's sleeping? When it's like at the bottom of the food chain, and yet it must do it.
Has to sleep.
And in scientific experiments they do to mice, they've done, and these are pretty dark experiments, but it's it's necessary. You want to learn, right? It's like they've done experiments on mice where they've just kept them awake and would not let them sleep, and they die. Like eventually they just stop work. They just die because like after like a week or so, because like it has to do with like the plaque in your brain and all. They don't really even understand it. So,
yeah, look at sleep deprivation as torture, right? That's like one of the worst tortures you could inflict on somebody, the loud music torture or whatever. So you don't, you just sleep deprivation. I think of it in terms, this is really kind of messed up comment on humanity, or at least on myself. Like I think of it in terms, I'm a car guy. So I think of my car. If I was running my car, which I baby more than I do my own body, right? If I ran that car 24 hours a day, it would be dead. The engine would fail. The transmission would fall out, right? I would never do that because I love my car, but yet I'm kind of running myself that way. It's ironic,
right? And they
comment on humanity, right? Like we take better care of our machines than we do ourselves. There's no machine there's no car in the driveway without the Dagster. I have to pay for it.
Right. Of course.
So it's like, I think that's another thing that's ironic, which I'm very aware of. It's just like, what? But I can't, like, I got to abandon my night owl ways because I know my health would be better if I could just kind of adopt a new policy.
Dag, you are speaking to my soul a bit with what you're saying about your sleep schedule. What I've started to do, because it's like even our relationship, that's why I was saying, like, I had the same thing, like Laylee's the angel on my shoulder. She's like, you really should. Well, she said to me, that kind of made me start thinking about it. And what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to make sure I take the marginal approach. But what she said to me that kind of was interesting is like, I am very health conscious in a lot of ways. Like when I exercise, I definitely get more anxious as a person. Like when I'm exercising consistently, my anxiety is like not a barrier to me. So it's like I stay up on that. I'm very conscious about what food I put in my body, you know, like, and that goes both ways, not just like I'm eating the right things all the time. Like when I'm eating like shit, I'm like, yeah, I want to eat like shit today. Like I'm making that choice. She's like, why are you so conscious about that choice and this choice and everything health wise, but all that whole going to sleep earlier, not early, just earlier thing is like lost on you. And I'm like, shit, that's true. Like, I don't know why, like that is such an obvious thing for my health. It is the easiest thing for me to do. Everything else I'm doing is the hard part, though. The exercise and everything.
What's your sleep schedule, Matty?
Usually, okay. So I'll say the bad version. The bad version of me is going to bed at 3 and waking up at around 11. That's usually where I'm at. I'm getting my 8 hours, but I'm going to bed really late. I'm getting up pretty late. Usually what's better for me in the marginal approach is getting to bed at 2, falling asleep at 2, I should say, and waking up at 10. I like to get 8. That's kind of my bare minimum. I make sure no matter what I get 8, which means I'm not like broken, but similar to what Dags described, there is a level of like shittiness that you still feel when you go to bed that late. And I think for me, what's started to work has been just like kind of what you described with the smoking, man. Like it's just the cold turkey approach. Like, all right, just pull the fucking plug. Like, yeah, there's a lot of shit I'd love to do right now. Messages I want to send, work I want to do, games I want to play, books I want to read. Get up early tomorrow then. Go to bed now, get up early tomorrow then. If I wasn't sick, that's what I was going to do today. But I was like, I need a little extra rest. But like last night, for me, this is not early, by the way, but I like went to bed around like 1:30. Like I was like reading a book and then I went upstairs at 1:30. I had a ton of stuff I wanted to do. I was like, damn, I didn't get to play like Tainted Grail today. I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about with like my team about the game. I was like, I'll just go to bed, handle it tomorrow. So like, that's kind of what I've been trying to do is just cold turkeying it a bit. It's like, I've tried every maneuver and I'm like, just pull the plug. The other thing that really got me is like, I love gaming with my friends and like, we would just hop on Discord and we just play together and you get lost in a game or lost in a conversation. You just go. But it's late. And I've just told them, I was just like, I'm out. Like I'm pulling out. I'm out of the social operation for a while. Let me get my shit straight first. And so that's kind of what I've been doing is that sort of thing. I guess my discipline, I'm at like when I've tried to get better and be a little more loose in myself, but I really stem from the part of like being in a lot of parts of my life too disciplined. And that is because like for example, even like a celebratory cigar, like I really struggle with that. Like that's tough for me because I get really worried. I'm like, this is, ooh, you know? So I think it's kind of like the devil, you know, thing. Like, why am I not worried about my sleep? Right. But in the sense of being too disciplined, it really spawns from like the environment I grew up in. There's a lot of things I saw that I was like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to act like that, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of who I am is really a product of what I don't like. And whether it be lying, anger, bad habits, smoking, that sort of shit, and just watching as it destroys people. I sound very judgmental, I guess, but growing up as a kid and seeing those things, and then eventually in my younger 20s feeling kind of fortified in that belief when like, you know, I won't say who in my family, but like the choices they would make would cost them severely.
Sure.
Illness, death, that sort of thing. And I was just like, and it resulted in a lot of my life, like, this guy's the fucking party pooper, like, have a drink. And the worst conversation I can always have is when someone offers me a drink at a get together, I'm like, no, I don't drink. And they're like, really? Why? And I'm like, do I have to give you my fucking life story, bro? Like, not your fucking business. You know, it was like one of you guys don't even care, but the people I don't know who are like, why don't you drink? I'm like, you really want to get into that? Like, that's really what you want to do right now. Bugs the hell out of me.
Yeah, that's an odd thing to ask somebody, I think.
It's happened so many times in my life. And I'm just like, I literally say to them, like, do you want the long or the short version? Like, well, I'm just like, yeah. All right. So I don't like to drink. There you go. But for me, that's kind of how I've become who I am, is that I see these things I don't like and I actively avoid them because I know how they make me feel. And I think about how that would make others around me feel if I was doing those things. So that steers me away. But if I were to talk about a vice that I got into, and I think I showed discipline, I've talked about it on Duke before, but it was definitely sports betting. Like I picked it up as just sort of a fun thing. Like my friends were into it. Like, yo, like check out FanDuel. And I was like, oh, sure. Let's see what's going on here. Because my mind going in was like, oh, sports betting is definitely a thing. Like they're going to make you, they're trying to rig the game against you. You're going to lose. And so you have to beat the game that way. So I go in there, and the first month I did it, I won like, $700 pretty quickly. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, this could be like a little side hustle for me. And just like do a little sports betting. I already watched a ton of sports. So like my bets were really coming easily because I was like, of course this team's going to win, or like, of course this guy's going to score or whatever. And I was like, let me just make a parlay out of this. And I did it for like UFC events, and it was like this enhancer. I was like, oh, I'm into this more. Right. I got into it real quickly. And I always say that when I was getting pissed off watching basketball because Jimmy Butler on the Heat was like, I needed him to get like 2 more points, and they got me like an extra couple $100, but he didn't. And like this guy, I always joke with my brother because he remembers, because like in my very short betting stint, I bet on this guy like twice, and both times I did, he was the reason I lost my parlay. I was like, this fucking guy, bro. Like I'm never betting on him again. But the whole point of the story is I had that moment of like, number one, I'm watching basketball. I was like, I hate basketball. I really don't like this sport. Like I shouldn't say that. I like this sport. I hate the players. They have ruined the sport as far as I'm concerned. It's impossible for me to watch. So when I was like, hold on, what the fuck am I doing? That was like the wake up call number one. I was like, okay. And then wake up 2 is like, oh, I love sports. And like, I need an enhancer for something I always did. Like when I'm working on a video, I had the ball game on. I love watching playoff hockey just for fun. I was like, I really need this for this. I was like, no, I don't. And I dropped it, man. Even though I was like, I knew there was good money in it. I was like, dude, this is going to fuck me, because I didn't realize how easy it was to come in and get that money, that I was like, no. I was like, this will trap me, because then you become dependent on it, because you start to count it as like, I'm going to start paying bills with this thing. So I need to make this much money each month. And that's where you start to make shitty choices. So that was a moment where I felt like I actually was being really disciplined. Like I faced something. I was like, oh, I enjoyed that. A little too much though. And stepped away. But I really think a lot of it's the product of seeing people around me and how it just, these things I try to avoid tear up them or the people around them. And that makes me try to make the best decision. I call it like the product of being the little brother in a lot of ways. Not like I'm talking specifically about my older brother, but the little brother, I think, always ends up being the insightful one that looks around at the world and sees how the older brother acts and tries to avoid, say, the pitfalls that they went through. And like the older brother guides them through that a lot. So I feel like I've had the benefit of that, to be able to kind of watch and learn. My parents had me when they were much older. So I had much wiser parents.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
that's a good benefit of that.
They were in their like low 40s when they had me. Yeah. So, it sucks when you get older, because now I'm entering like a really exciting phase of my life and they're getting old. So it's tough to wrestle with a bit, but I wouldn't be the man I am without them. So I think I'm just lucky with the environment I grew up in, because I was definitely like growing up impressionable, like to be the class clown, like to be the center of attention. It's so funny because I'm like I feel opposite of a lot of that energy I grew up with now. But I think that's where a lot of the discipline came from, was just watching and learning, and kind of just the lack of fucks given, because I was just like, I don't want to fucking deal with that. That sounds awful. Yeah, like I'm not going to do that. And I guess here I am now. So
yeah, families model. I mean, that's a really important thing for being a kid. Like families do model good and bad behavior. And as a kid, you observe that. As a parent, I often wonder what bad behavior I'm modeling for my kids, that they're kind of secretly saying to themselves, like, I don't want to be like that, because there's got to be something. I try to model plenty of good behavior, and there's lots of teaching points and lots of wisdom, hopefully handed down. Yeah. But what are the bad things that they're referencing that they're like, all right, I'm not going to do that? Because I had great parents, but they definitely modeled bad behavior. And not just parents, all the people that are in your environment that you become a product of. Gambling is one thing late in life. I never got into gambling. In fact, I'm just notoriously not, like a risk taker. But I could see the allure of gambling. And I could see my son, my 14-year-old, already start with things like FanDuel and stuff that, Matty, you mentioned. But I could already see him asking me things like seeing, oh, I could see this as being something really interesting. Like he'll be, he'll ask me like, Dad, have you ever gambled? Have you ever, put anything down on sports or in Atlantic City? And I'm like, no, it was never really my thing, but I could already see the wheels turning with him. Not that he's going to have a problem, but the fact of like, oh, that could be interesting.
Yeah, because it's easy money. That's the thing. They get you like with the sign up thing. Like I think the way I started my balance for FanDuel, if I remember correctly, because it was just like sports betting was like, legal in New York or something like that.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, yo, if you use my referral code, I think they gave you like $100 or something to start. Like it was just like free money. That was just a great base to be like, all right, I'm going to throw this at a bunch of shit. And like that base, just like I didn't spend my own money for a while on FanDuel. I was just like, dude, I'm just like using the free cash they gave me and growing it. Like, why wouldn't I do this? And that's the point. And I didn't, what made me feel sad about it all, even though I walked away from it, was like, damn, they got me. I was like,
yeah,
I always felt very proud that I knew these pitfalls in my life, but that one got me. I was like, they hoodwinked me. I came in thinking like, I know your game, because I've been in casinos and I'm like, I don't like gambling. So I was like, I know your game. You're going to try to get me low. So I go high.
Yeah.
And then I go in and I'm like, oh, you got me high, so I will go low and give you money. I'm like, shit.
Oh my God.
Like that was fucking good, man. So that was tough. That was a tough realization for me. And it's, again, that's where it goes down to being at times too disciplined. It's like, I'm human. Like I got to cut myself some slack and be like, all right, bro, this is something you like. And like, you walked away from it. I bought a ton of loot boxes on FIFA 13, I think it was, when I was in high school. That shit got me good too. Ultimate Team, good God, man.
Ultimate Team is a moneymaker, man, for them.
Oh my God, it was so fun when I was younger.
FIFA.
It was so fun because I love collecting cards. So I think to wrap up my thought process, I think what I try to do is when I recognize, oh, this is something I like, how do you feed it in a healthy way? So I think a bit about like, I don't really, after the sports betting thing, I don't really feel like I have that in me anymore. Like it's kind of gone. But if I get like an itch, like, oh, I kind of want to like do something a little risky, I open a pack of cards now. That does the trick for me. It's just still the same guessing game, still the same like, ooh, what am I going to get?
Yeah.
And it's nostalgic. Like open up a pack of Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, like if I'm in Target, I'm like, oh yeah, $5. It just scratches that itch in I think the right ways. And I think so long as you can find those sorts of support for your vices, those every human's got like that itch to scratch, right? Like whatever it may be. I think as long as you can find those healthy alternatives and outlets, it's even down to food, right? It's like, okay, I know I'm a snacker. I'm a huge snacker. So it's like, what can I throw in my body that's at least a little more guilt-free, that gives me that same like hand-to-mouth satisfaction that like a bag of chips would do. And so I think we're all cut from the same cloth. It's just how you approach it is how I think about it a little bit.
I want to say something quick about betting and like sports betting, which is we run ads for one of them. I don't remember which one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Did you say it?
It was DraftKings.
Because
I think
it was for Duke. Right.
It was for Duke and I didn't want to record it.
Yeah. I personally don't. You should always be honest with. Well, I guess you talked to Dustin about it or whatever, but like I don't want to make people read ads for things that they don't want to do. But I actually have no problem advertising personally those services. I don't, and I have no problem with them existing. I like betting on things. I'm not like chronically addicted to it by any stretch of the imagination. But when I go to Vegas, I always bet on a random game or something like that. Like it's just fun. Just like whatever. It's
like a pit stop, isn't it? I don't think a pit stop bet's a bad thing. Yeah.
But what I don't like about it and what I'm deeply worried about and what I think is going to have major consequences is the industrialization of sports betting in the United States. Sports betting is, I remember this so clearly because I was always so mystified by it as a kid when I used to read Newsday, which is Long Island's newspaper. You flip it to the back and you read the sports section and the Jets and the Islanders and whatever. And there would always be like the betting lines and the over-unders and all this kind of stuff. And I remember asking Dad once when I was a kid, I was like, well, what is this? And he's like, it's for gambling. And I'm like, but gambling's, I thought, illegal. And he's like, it is. And I was like, so why is it in the newspaper? And he's like, because everyone's gambling. Right. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I totally get it. It was done by bookies under the table or whatever, but it was it was so known and accepted that they were publishing the numbers from Vegas in a Long Island newspaper so you could bet like locally, right? Or go to OTB or whatever you want to do.
Sure, OTB, right.
And to me, I was always like, okay, I get it. This thing has latently existed, right? Mm-hmm. And you always hear about the bookies and like, what was it? The BC basketball team in 1980. They threw that season for like these. There's like all this crazy gambling shit going on. So it exists, right? And but I think it's been industrialized, and I'm not crazy about that because. And what I mean by that is, okay, so you listen to Sacred Symbols and you hear an ad for one of these places, which I'm cool with. It's like, okay, so the service exists. This is the service. But then everything seems now to exist. And I watch a lot of sports, and you do too, Matty, where it's like everything seems to be affixed to gambling. Here, during the middle of the hockey game, you can bet right now on who's going to win the game. And here are the updated numbers. During baseball, it's like, here's a parlay with who's going to get on base and all of these different things. And with football, it's quite pernicious and aggressive. And I think there is going to be major consequences for that. So I'm not one of the people that has a problem with it being legal. Some people do. I think it's great. I think I think lots of things should be legal. Frankly, I think prostitution should be legal. All that gambling is like, I mean, are you serious? Like, it's your money. Do what you want to do. But we shouldn't make it so easy. Here's a good example. I brought this story up in the past, but I was at a casino once because I love playing blackjack in a casino, and I love gambling, but I never gamble very much. I always tell people I play at the $20 table, which is like the lowest table you can possibly play. It's like a joke. You can't win any money at the $20 table. You can't lose much, and that's why I like to play there. And I was at a table with my ex and like a few other people, and then there was this really drunk girl, like fucking bombed, and she was losing over and over again and wasted. And she's like, I'll be back. And she flipped over her glass or whatever she did to be like, hold her spot and or put the coaster on top of the glass, I guess it was. And then walked away and went to the ATM machine and then was just put the money on the table. Was like, I just want more chips, like totally blasted. And I went to the pit crew guy. And I was like, or the pit, what is it? What's the name specifically?
Pit boss.
Right. That's what I'm looking for. And I was like, she's like really fucking drunk, dude. And he's like, not our problem, and I was like, okay, I guess this is the situation. So in other words, why can't it just exist? Why do we have to like take advantage of it?
Right.
And I was put off by that, but I know that he's right. It isn't their problem. They want your money. The house always is going to win anyway. And that's what I always remind people with sports betting is it is fun. I don't bet on games. I put money on fantasy stuff with like leagues.
Yeah.
And I spend probably $1,000 a year doing that or something. And I almost never win, but I can afford that. I'll never go anywhere beyond that. I've never been a big gambler to begin with. I used to like buying a scratch off ticket once in a while when I was a kid, and that was exciting and fun. But I'm like, I work too hard for this money. I'm not going to waste it. But I wish those options existed. And it's like a shady alleyway with smoke coming out of the door, and someone like opens it like, well, if you're interested, come in. But now it's like there's like fucking neon signs pointing to it, and everyone's pushing you towards it, and that's the shit I don't like.
In the programming too, like they're like, you're the DraftKings odds for the game. It just immediately hits you with that. Yeah,
doing it from your laptop. I mean, it's the accessibility. That's the scary
or your
thing.
phone, and that's what Matty's saying is like it's just constant reminders of how things are updated and what you can do now. And it's the fourth quarter, but if this guy catches a touchdown.
Yeah, you can adjust your bet on the fly. I forgot. Yeah.
So I encourage people to understand that these companies exist because they are going to win. And you are people don't think about this, but people take Las Vegas odds very seriously because those guys know what they're talking about.
Right.
And they have information and details. People pay great attention to that. Like, why is this team a 3.5 point favorite? That doesn't make any sense. And you always find out it's like some weird thing that someone knew about them.
Knowledge, yeah.
So I would never fuck with that personally. It's like fucking with an expert level person and thinking you're going to get a buy on them. You will get a goal by them every once in a while, but they exist to take your money. So just be aware.
100%. Yeah. Let's see. It's funny because you mentioned the ads for the network, and like I got an ad offer from DraftKings. I mean, they pay really good money. And I was just like, no, I can't do it, dude. Like, it's just one of those things now for me where I was like, once you experience it, I think it changes that. Was the money's great. It would definitely make my life a lot easier, but it's like the idea of like you pass that on. That's why like I appreciate you guys being understanding when the Dustin messaged me. He was like, hey, we got like an ad. It was DraftKings. I was like, can someone else record this? I was like, I'm not going to control Colin's bag, but I was just like, if I can avoid being the spokesperson, I was like, that would be what I'm most comfortable for.
We turned down ads, but never DraftKings. Although they only seem to advertise like week 1, week 2 of the NFL season, and then it's over.
Yeah,
for us anyway. Probably because it doesn't do very well.
Let me ask you guys a very ignorant question as somebody who doesn't gamble. Back in the old days, right? It used to be the bookie, the mafia, Russian mob or whatever. You were into the Russian mob for $8,000. You better be careful. Now what happens when you're into DraftKings or FanDuel for tens of thousands? How do they get their money?
You think you're buying the money up front? In other words, like I'm pretty sure you have an account that you put money into.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Like you buy
so it's not
the
virtual,
money almost, if that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So think of it like, I guess, like credits, right? Because when you cash out, it's like not just like a withdrawal; it's like a whole process. Because I took my money with me when I left. I was like, I'm gonna,
and they'll send you
$700 with me.
They send you tax documents and stuff too, and it's the same thing in Vegas. Like in Vegas, if you go up to a table or up to a counter and bet on a baseball game or whatever, you're paying for it up front, and then you go cash out.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So that's it. Well, it's interesting that the house always wins. It's just a new house and a new way of winning.
Yeah,
but
someone's going to beat the house. Someone's going to beat the house, but like everyone thinks they're going to beat the house, and cumulatively the house is going to win.
Yes,
so
that makes sense. Locke, I want to circle back to you because it's your topic to make sure you're satisfied here.
Yeah, sure, very satisfied. To harken back really quickly to what Matty said about his sleeping schedule. Matty and I have like a conversation on Discord that's been going on it's basically one continuous conversation. It's been going on for like 4 years at this point. Yeah. Just sometimes he replies and sometimes I reply, but sometimes we're not at home or we're asleep or something. But sometimes when I leave for work and I see Matty reply to something that I sent him 8 hours earlier, I always get worried. Because that's when I know, like, oh shit, you're still awake, but it's like 9 a.m. my time, so it's got to be like 3 a.m. your time. Yeah. That's oh no. So I'm always glad
last night.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Perfect example.
Well,
oh, go ahead. Sorry,
I was going to say there's only one appropriate way to end this topic. I think, Locke. I'm going to get in touch with you guys at 3 a.m. We're going to take bets on if you're going back to smoking or not. That's how we're gonna do this. I'll reach out to you guys at 3. We'll get a pool going. If Locke's going to appear on a future show,
you gotta have like a hat on, like and like a pencil in the hat, and then like and like one of the pads like with the spool on top.
Have you guys ever walked into an OTB?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I remember driving by it a lot as a kid. I always thought, because didn't they have like a horse logo or something like that? Or
I think it's like a green oval. It might have like a silhouette of a guy riding a horse. I don't know
maybe.
if I'm seeing
I just
that.
remember a horse being involved. It might have just been like horse track betting or something. I don't know. But I do remember passing an OTB a lot as a kid. I don't know I didn't know. Are they still around?
I think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was one in Manhattan. I thought this is a crazy story, but I won't go into a big thing, but I thought I lost my pay stub on the way to the bank. I was working on 37th Street. I walked out, got my check. I don't know why I wasn't getting direct deposit, but I walked out to go on a Friday to go deposit my check. And I dropped my check, somehow my stub, on the way from my building to the bank, which basically there was like a Chinese grocery and an OTB. Those are the only two things between those two buildings. So I thought I lost my check outside of an OTB. So I had to walk inside to see if anybody picked it up. And it was everything you would imagine an OTB to look like and smell like inside. It was like really, honestly, full of degenerates. I mean, some guys had like it was like a cartoon, like one guy's half of his shoe was missing with his foot hanging out. Like it was like, is this I felt like I was on a movie set. It was like, this is like more like a cartoon version of an OTB. It was amazing.
That type of experience will push you away, because I'll just add on and then we can wrap up. I remember for one of Laylee's birthdays or something like that, we went to a casino and it was like out of a movie. Like, oh, this isn't like fictitious, because I remember we went to like the second floor of this place, and I mean, you could barely hear the music up there, so it's dead quiet, and there's just a guy by himself, like on the slot, just fucking yanking the crank, and just like going and going and like losing and just like again and just waiting and watching. I'm
it's
just
so
like,
sad.
I'm like, yeah, I felt bad. I was like, holy shit. Like he's just by himself. There's no vibe, no people. And he's just literally hosing money.
No joy.
Like, no, yeah, literally nothing. You know, at least like for us, it was a big crew and it was like, whoa, wow. You know, like at least there was a little bit of that. But this guy's just hitting the slots by himself, just watching his money go. He's like, one of these fucking times when they cash out. You know? So
That's
yeah,
so
that
sad.
stuff is like that'll wake you up when you see it.
I get it though. Like I get it. Like it's that allure of like quick money, the potential of quick money. However slim those chances are.
And how easy things would be if you won that.
Yeah. It's like playing the lottery.
Just change things and all those bad habits would go away, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Very alluring.
I get it. Locke, this is your topic to end or keep going as you see fit, my friend.
I'm perfectly satisfied. That was wonderful. Great advice from everyone.
And good job. And we're proud of you. Well, and I think you're almost home free. I think you're very close. Just stick it through. See it through the next. You said you're into your second week now.
No, this is my third week is starting tomorrow.
Oh,
so
you're good. You got
you're good.
6 more days.
Yeah, I feel like you're in good shape.
You're in good shape, my friend. Very nice. Well done. I was concerned. I have to say, when you sent the email, I knew we should save it for the show, but I was like, oh my God, was there some sort of specific health concern? Like the C word?
Oh, yeah, of course.
But,
yeah.
Okay.
I'll test Locke in a few days. I'll send him like a picture of me smoking a cigarette in our ongoing conversation and be like, hey man, how are we? You missed this? That'll really give him a little willpower test.
I think, you know what? Were you of the main, well, I shouldn't say the main, of all the Last Stand Media people, were you the only smoker left? I think you were.
I think so, yeah.
I think so, of everybody, right? So it's not like you're gonna sign on to a pod. You're not gonna go on Summon Sign on Monday, and Brad's not gonna be smoking a ciggy. So you're not gonna have to watch.
No.
Maybe. I mean,
that seems like a lot of things.
It's also I don't have a choice anymore. Like if I smoke, I die. So I can't do it. Like
right.
It's not like I don't want to. Like I would love to smoke right now, but I can't. So I won't.
You're gonna be all right. You just gotta take up drinking and gambling.
There was a company I did an ad for. It's called Fume, and they literally just like, like this thing's great.
Yeah,
like,
it's
if
cool.
you just like to the hand them out like,
yeah, I got mine here.
I heard about that. Yeah,
yeah, they sponsored us for a long time too. I haven't gotten an ad from them in a while, but this is really cool. This is no joke. We get no money from them anymore, but FUM, you should look it up if you're like a smoker.
Yeah, that's cool.
You put little flavored cylinders in it, and you still get that oral fixation. Yeah, I have the orange one in there right now.
There you go. You go. All right, my dudes. Well, Matty, this clears the runway for your topic. I'm very intrigued by this one as well.
Yeah, it's so funny because like the term I was going with is going all in, but now it's all of our bet talk of like should that be a different should that be a different title for it? But
it's a good segue.
It is a good segue. Yeah. So going all in, I want to obviously, before I get into my story, I want to hear stories from you guys of literally, again, just perfect segue, like big bets you've taken, like, but not literally with money. Like, like, okay, I'm going in, I'm choosing to do this. I know there could be a less than desirable outcome here, but I think the payoff's going to be big, a little bit of a risky play maybe, or just something where it's like, maybe it's not even just all or nothing. It's just like, okay, which is the case I'm in, where it's like, okay, I'm going to like really put my faith into something here, and I'm going to make some choices that are going to leave some things behind, but I believe this in this thing. So I want to get your stories, funny, victorious, failures, whatever they may be, of going all in. But for me, kind of the reason that this sparked in my head is I was looking at our emails and I was like, what do I want to talk about? And I was thinking, I usually, when I decide my Constellation topic, I just go and rewind the whole week. And I'm like, what have I gone through recently that can then like these guys can tap into and give some real thoughts on. And so recently I've done a couple of things. So I talk about the game we're working on a lot. It's been a big centerpiece of my life for the last number of years. And so this last month, like I talked about on Duke, we ramped up a bit and we got a product together that we're pitching now. And we're like, okay, like we're really happy with this thing. and we're putting it in front of people, and we've made new deadline goals for Gamescom where I aim to travel to that with Laylee, and we'll pitch again in person. And so we have this like roadmap, and we have like a vision, and it's become, Colin, you'll know, like there's that nebulous period where like it's kind of a thing, it's kind of not a thing. Like we got to see where this goes, we got to feel it out, and then it becomes a thing. It's like, this is a game, okay. And so that's really exciting. So with that, I was just kind of like, it's been the first time we can really, truly, deeply assess the game, truly, deeply assess like our team. What do we need? What don't we have? And shout out to the LSM audience. I shot a signal flare on Duke, so did Cog. I was just like, hey, if you got game development experience, like, let me know. I said, I would love, we can't publicly hire because I don't want to ruin the surprise for people. I don't want them to know what we're working on. But no, we're working on something. Have you sign an NDA and we can talk about the game? And so I was impressed, first of all, with a lot of the people who reached out, just a ton of people in our audience who work in the industry, which is really cool. And I was also honored because like we have nothing to show them publicly. So they're just kind of going out on like faith and just like, hopefully I'm interested in this thing. Like, you don't know the genre. You just know it's our team's game. That's it. That's all they knew. So I was just kind of humbled by that. But anyway, to the point of the topic, enough people reach out, and we're bringing on 3 new people, two 3D artists and a VFX artist. And
nice.
I'm really excited about what they're bringing to the table, but I also have a monthly budget I have to account for. And a lot of people count on me, and I don't want to change their situation. So it's one of those pots where I'm like, okay, I know I can't do more work to go and make more money, so I need to go in here. So I have a personal savings account, and I'm like, okay. So I talked to my wife. I'm like, here's what I'm thinking. I have these 3 people that I think are really going to change the game for us. Like our timelines, they're going to change the look of our game. Like, I feel like this is, and she works on the game with me. So I was like, what do you think? And she was like, go for it. Like, we can do this. Like, let's do this. So I'm taking a decent chunk of my personal savings. I'm putting into my business account, and I'm using that to bring some people on board because I just have a lot of faith in what we're doing. And it's also part of it's like not sunk cost fallacy literally, but like you're deep enough where it's like, let's go for it. Like, if we're going to do this and we're this close to like our perceived finish line, like I don't want to look over my shoulder and be like, I could have done that, So it's in a safe enough area where I'm not like sinking myself like, oh, this doesn't go out well. It's like, I haven't lost everything, but it's enough where it's like, I'm going in, like I'm really putting the chips on the table and saying like, okay, like I already believed in this, but like I'm going a step further to like give the art team every piece they really need to help put this thing together how we want it without any compromise. And I'm really excited, but it's also like, I guess, mildly scary because, with that commitment, like I talked to you, Colin, privately about it at one point. It's like, yeah, there's going to be like some shifts on like how I balance my schedule. Like I'm still always going to be doing YouTube. I'm still always going to be podcasting, but like the amount of it, like I upload 4 times a week. I'm a Mr. Matty channel. It's like, how many times will I be able to upload now per week? Retro Rebound's always going to be safe. That's really easy channel lock, to like record and edit for. So it's like that's always going to stay 2 videos a week. That's really manageable. So like, does Matty scale down to that? I don't know, because like there was a week like this past week with my Mr. Matty channel where everything that people saw for that week, I recorded in a single day because I just had that time, that window, and that list of topics where it just panned out magically that way. Where I was like, okay, like if I can do this, I can keep the same volume. I'm still going to keep doing Duke, but it's like, obviously I know as my efforts scale up, it's like, I can't do everything. And so there is that time where it's like the fork in the road's approaching, and it's like, I'm not picking necessarily one path or the other, but I'm committing to this on a level where it's like, okay, it's interesting because I've talked about it a little bit before, but it's like, well, if I didn't do this game, I do think about how comfortable I'd be, but I don't think anything good is born out of you as a person if you're very extremely comfortable. I want to be comfortable, but like, I don't think anything good is born out of that kind of situation to be in. Like, it's nice, but your ambition fades, your creativity fades, and you just get into this pocket where you just start making mistakes or you get careless and you're like, whatever, who gives a fuck, right? Like, I've just seen it happen so many times. And I almost got sucked into that at one point. So I think about it sometimes. I'm like, do I really want to do this? Because I'm not the game, but like that level of investment. I'm like, yeah, this is what keeps me sharp. If I'm not like this, not like on the edge of death or anything, but like if I'm not on that sort of like, we're okay. Like month on month, we're good. Build up a little war chest and everything, we're good. But like if I'm just like completely okay, I feel like that can invite carelessness in. So that's kind of where I'm at. And obviously as like a YouTuber, people know this, but it's not like I have this, like I do this for X amount of years. And once I'm done, it's like, YouTube's gonna be sending me a check every month. It's like my personal savings is my everything. It's like, that is what I plan to live off of when I'm done. So I am really protective of it. And I always get nervous touching it because, emergencies happen, someone gets sick, car repairs, those sorts of things, obviously in the more immediate future could happen. But it's also like when I can't do this anymore or don't want to do this anymore, it's like I need something to support my family. And it's like I'm tampering with that. Even if I'm younger, it's like I'm tampering with that. And it's like now's the time at my age where you're making solid money and you have a good job and the audience is behind me and stuff. It's like, this is a time where it's like I could choose to be comfortable, but I'm taking that risk creatively and financially to kind of make this thing happen. And so I'm excited, but I want to hear your guys' stories of like where you've gone in, like, have you ever taken that? I'm sure Colin, I can guess one of your stories, but like where you've taken that big bet where you're like, this is a change for me. But like, part of the motivator for me is like, I've been doing YouTube since I was in 6th grade. Like part of me is like, no, I'm due for something else in my life. Like this,
sure.
Like I am very proud of, like I'm very proud of what I've built. I always want to keep it around because my belief is like the future of game development is that sort of both entrepreneurship, but also like that connection with your audience.
Yeah,
like,
a hybrid approach.
Yeah, like I think that is the future. Like these people, like I love connecting with development teams when I cover their games. It's more personable. It feels more small business. And I think nowadays without AAA's gone, like that's what people want. So I will never give that up. But I also understand that like this is a big shift for me. It's like I'm really taking a big risk by like putting myself out there creatively on a level that I've never done before. And I'm excited. But yeah, I've yapped enough. I want to get your guys' stories on going in, how you've gone in, the successes, the failures of it all. Because yeah, I've never really done this before. I think I've always been a little risk averse. So this is exciting for me because it's like this is the first time really in my life like I've done something different with my work life. I've tried other things, but like this is the first time I've really been all in on something like this beyond YouTube. So
I give you so much credit for this, Matty, because I think any protracted independent creative undertaking, a novel, a movie, a video game, an animated film, I think I give it such a tip of the cap because you have to maintain your enthusiasm, your creative energy, your toil, your commitment, the morale of your crew over such a long stretch of time, years.
Yeah.
And to see that through to fruition from A to Z, like I just really give that so much. It's something I've never endeavored in as an independent. I've worked on other people's projects and taken paychecks from big and small companies, but doing it yourself as an entrepreneur, much like Colin does, I just give that so much credit because it really is a risk and it does take courage. And I do think fortune favors the bold, but it's got to be scary.
Yeah, obviously, like there's the high upside. Like if I'm very transparent, it's like our game's budget is ridiculously low because we have really high skill people who see the future of what this could bring. So like they're willing to kind of give me a fair rate. They know I'm the only one bankrolling. It's not like I have anyone else behind it, like no other financial input. It's literally just me. So they understand that.
Yeah.
And they believe in it enough where, there obviously is that high reward potential at the end of it all. It's like, we don't need to sell in the scheme of things so much that we can't try to do this again afterwards. So there's like a future in that, like more games and that sort of thing. So we're in a fortunate position. We're also in a really fortunate position that we started off as a very small crew and learned a lot of lessons. And I really speak more for myself than the people who I first started working with. It's more me. Like I had a tremendous amount of shit that I was just unaware of that I'm still learning to this day. I think I'm more wise than I was when we started this adventure like 4 years ago, but there's been a lot of like moments where I realize even how you think about things can really transform a project. So it really does come down to that team though, because you're like nothing without them. Like what I found so impressive after going on this journey is like, I'm like, how the fuck do people do this on their own? Literally, like there are games like Chained Echoes, Stardew Valley. I'm like, these were solo projects. Yeah, of course they got like, maybe they contracted for something, or maybe they got help from like a team to publish the game or whatever it may be. But like to do that on your own, I just, as I start to see the layers and the specializations and the effort that it takes on every single facet to make something truly great, I'm like, holy fuck, man. The fact that people have done this on their own is probably the most impressive thing I've seen. It's like, it just enlarges your respect so much for the medium as a whole.
Yeah, my buddy Tom Happ is who I always think about with that, who made Axiom Verge. And he did all of it. Literally the whole thing.
That's incredible.
It's great.
Music, graphics, animation,
It's
gameplay, design.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. Well, Matty, which way do you want this to go first, my friend?
I would like to just hear stories. Let's Dake, you always have a funny story up your sleeve. So I want to, I don't know which way you're going to take me here, but I always like to get a little Dake story because I feel like you've lived a million lives. So I want to get your cut from this of going all in.
Yeah, well, I'm old, so that comes with the territory.
I didn't mean like that.
Definitely comes with the territory. You know what? It's funny that you say that, Matty, because I'm going to tell you guys something that is fun for me because I've never told anybody about this, and it's been on my mind, I would say up until very, very recently. Now, I'm in the throes of taking my career in a very different direction than it's typically been in that over the course of almost 30 years, I've worked in animation and I've worked a little bit in advertising and marketing, but mostly in television. And I honestly have had it with working in TV. I can't stand it anymore. I love doing it, but the business of cartoon animation is unbearable. Like it's robbing me of all of my passion. It's finally happening, and I don't want that to ever happen. So I'm in the process of taking my career in the direction of marketing and advertising again, which I've done over the past, but to a much less degree, but I'm going to take it full on, like full bore in that direction. And I'm very excited about it. And the new opportunities are in the offing. I'm psyched about working on at a specific place with specific people. And I'm not going to talk about it too much yet because we're still in the discussion phase, but I'm excited about that. So that being said, the frustration that's been mounting for me in my career over the last year has been palpable. As now I've arrived, I was just talking to Locke about this right before we started the show today, that I've arrived at a good place over the last few weeks. But up until that point, I was really feeling kind of desperate because, again, I was just feeling fed up with something that I have been very passionate about my whole life, but kind of feeling in my heart of hearts that I can't take it anymore. And then when Matty said the topic, the first thing that I thought of as a 51-year-old is like, I guess we push our chips forward, or at least I'll speak for myself. My experiences of adulthood have been like a little bit of pushing my chips forward with every big new turn in life, right? Like first it was going to college and declaring a major. And then it was choosing a career, getting married, buying a house, having a kid, buying a bigger house, having more kid. You know what I mean? Like there's always a little bit of pushing your chips for relocating for work, whatever. Now, in the throes of talking with Helene about moving eventually down south and there's always these steps in life where you're pushing your chips forward a little bit and taking a risk, because when you choose one option or you choose one direction of the fork in the road, then you're leaving the other one, right? It's like when the Dagster decided to become a dad, it's like, non-dad Dagster has left, that possibility goes out the door. Now I'm very happy I chose being a dad, but you know what I'm saying? You're choosing one option and leaving the other one. So it's like pushing your chips forward. It's like, that's my experience in life, is like with every big thing comes that roll of the dice or that pushing of the chips. But in my frustration over the last, I would say 9 to 12 months, there's this alternate reality, Dagan, at least in my career, that I'm very excited about. But there's this other alternate reality, Dagan, that I've been really thinking of. And it started off as like kind of a whimsical what if? And then it became a why not do this? This is something. And it was, I'll explain it to you guys. So we've been, ever since I met Helene, we've been going down to the Jersey Shore, right? And there's this little shore town south of Atlantic City, south of Ocean City called Stone Harbor, which is an absolutely beautiful community where, you know, I guess since, you know, time immemorial, but certainly since World War II-ish, that's where Philadelphians go to summer, right? Everywhere south of Ocean City, all the shore points south of Ocean City. But Stone Harbor has always been near and dear to my heart. And it's a beautiful little island right on the ocean, south of Ocean City, but north of the southernmost point, which is Cape May. It's just a beautiful little town, and it's picturesque, and you have to have a lot of money to be there. But there's just something so cool about it. And I know I'll never afford to be able to live there. These are multi-million-dollar homes, even inland. Forget about it. It's like, but my kids grew up there, so it's always been near and dear to my heart. And for some reason, I've always just been, what if we just open a little bagel shop down here, right? Like Long Island bagels. I'm not saying anything bad about Philadelphia food. Philadelphia's got its cheesesteaks. Philadelphia is also known for its cuisine. Jersey Shore, beautiful. But Long Island bagels, they don't have. They just don't have it. That's a New York thing. So there's always been this little sort of idea floating around. What do we open a little bagel place down here? And I do think it would be successful, but it's less about making money for me and more about something that I could see myself really enjoying. You know, being a part of that community, families being, you know, waking up and eating your food, kids being raised on the things you're serving, just being that sort of matriarch or patriarch of that community, you know, getting to know the locals, just becoming like a little bit of that Stone Harbor family through opening this little business. And it was getting to the point where I was getting ready to text my sibs and my parents and being like, literally that was going to be my language. I'm going to push all my chips forward and open a bagel place down here. Right. And I'm going to call it Stone Harbor bagels. Stone Harbor bagels. And I'm just going to take a shot. And again, less, you know, yeah, the frustration was mounting with the career. Now with AI on top of all the other challenges, it's like becoming this unbearable. It's hard to feel like the end is not in sight for animation, at least for a little while, right? At least until it could revert back to, you guys are young. I mean, Matty, you're particularly young, but there was a time in the late 90s, early 2000s with the advent of ebooks where everybody, and you know, the Borders and Barnes and Nobles were closing, and it was like, I guess traditional media, magazines and books are done. Like there was that period of time where we felt that way.
Definitely.
And then it rebounded. And I think animation and entertainment in general will eventually do the same thing, but who the hell knows? And in the meantime, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know about that, but I do.
don't know.
Books. I think what happened to books is that people assumed something about the book process, about reading a book specifically digitally, that didn't translate like they thought it would. Yeah. And I think a lot, because I was one of those people. I had on my first iPad, I used to buy books on Kindle, and I did it for like 2 years, and then I'm like, I kind of hate this.
Yeah.
And then I started just buying books again.
And everybody had that experience.
Right. So I think that I don't know that, because people assumed it would be like music, because music is demonstrably better digitally. Like, I don't know why anyone would want to carry around CDs.
That's true. Like that's a great point.
And so people assumed it was the same thing for, and I feel that way about games, by the way. So it's like, but books, there's something about the tech, because I read books. I say that because most people don't. So it's actually a rare thing. Everyone seems like they're fucking illiterate, actually. Like increasingly illiterate. It's crazy. And it's true. It's happening.
Social media.
So yeah, I think that's I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was going to say, like, I don't know that other things are going to be saved like that was, because it's a very unique tactile thing that we've been doing for a long ass time.
Yeah, that is true. But to see that come, like they just opened a Barnes and Nobles down the street where literally a Borders used to be. So to see that come full circle, I guess that's really that's looking through a very optimistic lens.
To wearing a Borders skin suit, taunting it.
But yeah, so who knows? So it's been, I think being an animator has always been tough. I mean, ask any professional animator, but now the challenges have just mounted to a point where it's like, this is becoming impossible, right? There's just so many obstacles to overcome, and who knows? And in the meantime, you have to make a living, and then there's all the frustration. You go through the cycles of grief, basically. It's like you get angry, and then you get sad, and then then you're sort of, bargaining and all that kind of thing. It's like you're going through all those stages, and it got to a point where push came to shove, where it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Rather just kind of enjoy the passion of doing it and appreciate it and never lose that lust for the thing, rather than having to draw a paycheck from it. So how can I sidestep and kind of reinvent myself and leverage my skills in a new direction or a known direction that I haven't done enough? And to be honest with you, with advertising, like from a very early age, like 2 years into my career, I was already second guessing going into the wrong profession. I was like, you know what? You have the mind for advertising. You know what I mean? Like, you love brainstorming, you love writing copy, you love storytelling. Like this could have went in a whole nother direction. Now I'm starting it a little late, but it's nice because now I could talk about this other thing with the bagel store of like, yeah, there's something that speaks to me about the pride of having your own little storefront.
Yeah, like a little proprietor of something. Like
the OCD of keeping it clean and selling a product that's delicious that you could take a lot of pride in. And what coffee am I going to serve here? And of course, I know the answer to that. It's going to be Covered Bridge coffee, which is my favorite. And all those things. And then you start thinking like you could become like a keystone in this community of people you already love, right? A lot of people you already know in that place, and I do think I could be successful there. And that would be the Moriarty's way into Stone Harbor, because we're not buying a $4 million house. It's just not going to happen. So, and it's a community I really love. So it's like, oh, you know what? Why not? It seems impossible. It seems so far from your own reality and the things you know. But then on the other hand, optimistic Dagster is like, why not?
We do it
why
for the
not?
love
You
of
would
the
love
game.
it. You would love the camaraderie. You would love to get to know these people and the families, and looking forward to, the summer times when business picked up and, you'd have the locals all year round. And there's just so much charm to it for me. So for me, that would be the one thing. I still don't rule it out. You know what I mean? I think it would be a tough thing to get to. I think it would take a lot of investment money. I think real estate down there is very expensive, even for a little storefront. They have, I think Stone Harbor in particular of all the islands is very low lying. So if a hurricane comes, they're getting buried in water. So there's all kinds of red tape, but potential red tape, but still, you know what I mean? It's kind of topical for Matty's topic today, because this is something that I've been thinking about and that I've been flirting with texting to my family in a half joking, but kind of half serious way of like, what about this?
Oh, dude, I got your first item on the menu. You got to sell the Dagel, right?
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Love that.
What?
Whoa.
Easy.
All right.
I think I just fueled the
for that
fire.
one,
I
man.
think he's like, I got to go start the business now.
Yeah,
I'll give you a little cut for that one.
That's sick. I love that.
So good. And just New York bagels, and I was kind of, you guys let me know what you think of this, like this theme of New York meets Philadelphia. I love both places with all my heart. And, I don't think New York and Philly generally have a beef, but they're very close together, very geographical close, two big cities.
Yeah.
You got this contention with the sports and stuff like that, but I love both things. My kids are of both places, so I have a great deal of pride in that sort of hybrid. So what if I could brand it, part Philly, part New York, and how would people, something original? You don't see that down there. It's very Philly centric specifically, obviously, and geographically.
Wouldn't that tell you that you would just want to lean into that?
What do you mean?
You don't want to alienate people by being too New York in a place that is Philadelphia coded.
I don't know though, but wouldn't it be original?
I just think having New York style bagels anywhere is good and is an agnostic, apolitical move. Yeah,
that's true.
How much money do you need to get this thing going? Like, have you thought about that?
Real estate's very expensive down there, especially on the islands, because you could be off the island, on the mainland, and that could be a mile to 2 miles off, and it could be, very different. Still expensive. I mean, Jersey's not cheap, and the property taxes are high.
Jersey's awesome. I love Jersey. Has like such a weird bad reputation. I'm like, it's fucking beautiful. I don't know what
it's
you're talking
beautiful.
about. Everyone's like, oh,
Drivers,
Perth
bro.
Amboy or something. I'm like, that's not New Jersey, dude.
I know.
The fuck are you think? The Meadowlands. It's like, all right, dude, drive
there's North
10
Jersey and
miles
South
away
Jersey.
and then start talking about Jersey. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, you know what the ironic thing about some of the shore points too, like Stone Harbor is interesting because it has some good restaurants for all of its storefronts in the little town. And, it has the little mom and pop ice cream places that are very successful, but it doesn't have that much in terms of breakfast there, which I noticed, 30 years ago.
Breakfast?
There's like 3 places to eat breakfast here. That's weird.
You're not saying it right.
What do you mean?
Breakfast.
Breakfast.
There you go.
Breakfast.
That's a deep cut.
That's a deep cut. So that's kind of like, I think, let me end with this before I pass it to the next guy. I've said enough, but I think it's important to have those dreams in reserve. Like I've always had that. You know what I mean? I've always had that thing of like, I'm going to do a children's book, and I keep that for my times where I just need to be optimistic, or I feel like I need a plan B when things aren't looking too good, right? When things are looking bleak, I could pull out that trump card, however much of a fantasy it is, and sometimes it's a reality. Like I could do a children's book tomorrow and self-publish it, So I like to have these little things like my bagel shop, the Daigle and Stone Harbor bagels. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be, I need to have those things. That represents hope for me. And I do think about that a lot. And maybe because my mom and dad, when I was much younger, used to always talk about kind of, why don't we just stop everything we're doing and just like open up a little diner or a little greasy spoon? That was always like a little feather in their cap that they would talk about from time to time. I don't know if I'm kind of calling back to that and being like, oh, this is kind of my version of their dream when I was little, But I do think there's something very charming about being an institution in a place, feeding people. There's something very nourishing about that. And I just think I would enjoy, getting up in the morning, flipping that open sign, open the door, the smell of fresh bagels, having people come in, enjoy your food. How you doing? How's the family? There's something so charming about that. Very Americana, I guess.
It's funny because
right?
I think about that sometimes too. Like my ideal retirement setting is opening my own deli. I love sandwiches. I love going into delis. I love buying sandwiches. I love reading the menus for places that specialize in sandwiches. It's like my fucking lifeblood, bro. And I'm just like, God, I want to do that so bad one day.
He loves a sandwich. I love a good sandwich too.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. Yeah, so I don't know. And then Helene gets into, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to serve food? And maybe I'll have the griddle. Maybe I'll serve the bacon, egg, and cheese on the bagel. But
touch tables.
Gotta have the lox. Right? You got to have the schmear. You got to have the good bagels with the Brooklyn water. But I don't want to get too fancy. I want to keep it so like what I do sell could be top notch, and the best around. 100%. I want people to come down to the shore looking forward to. I'm going to get down there Saturday morning.
To a Daigle.
First thing I do is go get a Daigle.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck yeah.
It's like the cheesesteak. It's like the cheesesteak answer for breakfast.
You could make characters out of your menu because you brought up locks earlier, and there's lock right there. So like, if you want to draw characters on your menu, just start LSMing a little bit in there.
This whole thing is like writing itself right now.
It's all coming together.
So that's mine, Matty.
All right. Well, Locke, I want to hear from you. Going all in.
First of all, that's a wonderful dream. I love that. I hope you actually do it too, because everybody has dreams, of course, but it's hard to actually do it. So I hope at some point you actually get to do it, because that's such a wonderful dream. I really think that's great. That's so unique. That's so much fun. That fills my heart. That's so cool. When I was 27, a very long time ago, I also had a dream. At that point, I was working a pretty dead-end job. I was making a lot of money, but I wasn't really doing anything with it. And I figured, well, I went to film school before I got that job. So why not write my own TV sitcom or something like that? Write my own pilot for TV, make it, and try to sell that. So I saved up a bunch of money from that job throughout the years. And I saved up so much money that I could give myself 2 years to develop this pilot, maybe even film it, and then try to sell it to the network. So that's what I did. The first year, I just wrote a pilot, like 60 pages, 45 minutes long. It was part of like a 12 episode season, but I only wrote the first episode, got down every character, got everything down. I wrote it, and then I sent it to a couple of my friends who were producers that I knew from film school. And one of them got back to me and told me, like, this is great. We should make this. We should make this ourselves. I was like, okay, cool. I still have a lot of money left. We can actually do this. And it was a sitcom in the style of The Office, so like a documentary style. They always say, write about what you know. So I wrote about a film school, which at that point hadn't been done before. Glee wasn't a thing yet. Like, you didn't have a lot of adult sitcoms situated in a film school because the arena were the teachers, not the kids. And there weren't a lot of sitcoms that back then situated to the teachers. They were mostly about the kids. So my producer friend came on board, and we made a deal that he would take care of all the locations and the crew. He would hire those people, and I would concentrate on hiring the actors. So I could concentrate on the story and the creative parts, and he could concentrate on the logistics of it all. So we figured, well, to start to jumpstart this, we need like a strong lead, like a bigger actor, so that we could sell this more easily to the networks. So we began looking around here in Belgium for like a bigger actor that would potentially want to do this. And we landed on this guy. I won't say his last name, but his first name was Frank. And Frank used to be a huge actor here in Belgium. He even won multiple international Emmys. He was plastered on every network. The guy made millions with a bunch of TV shows that he made here back in the 80s. But for the past 20 years, he didn't really do anything anymore, which was perfect for us. Because this was, when was this? I think 2010? Yeah, 15 years ago, wow, so 2010. Yeah. So we contacted him, and he immediately jumped on it. He read the script. He said, this is great. Yeah, I want to do this. This is awesome. I'm all in. So we were very happy, of course. I was ecstatic. I really thought this was finally going to work. But that's when the problems started. Because very quickly, we found out that people weren't really using Frank anymore because he was crazy. He would immediately start calling me in the middle of the night with big ideas and rewrites for the script, which was fine. I thought, oh, cool, this guy is really engaged with the story. That's awesome. We can definitely use that. But that quickly divulged into him calling me in the middle of the night and screaming at me. Or telling me that I should represent him and that we should find bigger roles for him in other sitcoms. There was even a point... I'll never forget about this. There was even a point where we were talking about the script and he didn't understand that it wasn't about him anymore. Like, he thought the script was written for him and that the role was him as Frank, the actor, not as a character in the script. Wow. So that was a fun day trying to explain to him that no, the script was there first and then we tried to contact you. Wow. But anyway, this guy still had a pretty big name, was still a pretty big name in Belgium. So we were still pretty happy that we had him. I had to deal with his crazy ego, but that was fine. That was okay. But I also had to hire other actors, of course. My producer would hire the crew and I would hire the actors. So I held auditions and I saw dozens of people, dozens of actors for all the other roles. And most of them were very, very bad. Of course, there's a lot of actors everywhere, but normally you have like a casting agency that takes care of this stuff. But we didn't have the money for a casting agency, so I had to do it myself. So I put announcements on our local Craigslist. I put them in the paper. I went to drama schools and posted it up there. And eventually we got a bunch of actors that were semi-okay, but they weren't the greatest. But I figured I could work with them. So that would be our cast, that mostly unknowns. But we did have that one big actor, and I figured that would tie everything together. Meanwhile, my producer friend was gathering a crew, but again, our budget was so slim that the options weren't that explosive. So what he came up with, he hired a full Albanian crew that didn't speak English and that didn't speak Dutch. They only spoke Albanian and a little bit of French. But they had good camera equipment, and they would be able to do it for like a third of the price that a normal camera crew would be able to do it. So I was like, okay, perfect, fine. That saves us a little bit of money. Maybe that's good in the long run. Let's try it. Let's give them a chance. They'll probably want to work extra because it's their first big job. Maybe it'll work out. That seems like a really smart idea. So then I also told my producer that editing is so important. Back then, I already edited a lot, so I knew editing was very important. So I told him we need good editors on this because it's the office style. It's multiple cameras. It's multicam. We need good editors to tie this thing together. So his solution was, because he already skimmed on the rest of the crew, was to hire 2 very renowned editors that were Oscar nominated at some point to edit this thing. So they were extremely expensive and our budget was rapidly shrinking. But I figured, okay, if we get those 2 editors, doesn't matter if the rest is kind of crappy, they can tie it together. That will work out fine. He also got in touch with a school that we could use for an entire week as a location, which was brilliant. I thought that was a great idea. So we didn't have to change locations. We could just do everything there. We didn't need a studio or anything. We could just film everything on location, which was awesome. So the first day of shooting, people didn't simply show up. The only guy who actually showed up was the actor, the main actor, and some of our other actors, and then the camera crew, but no extras, nobody else. So we had to kind of picture it. We had to kind of frame it so that you wouldn't notice that nobody was in the school.
Oh, no.
But during the day, the extras, it turns out that my friend got them from like the local homeless shelter, and they were like getting drunk during the day, and they were abusive, and half of them were junkies, so they kept getting into fights with the Albanian crew, basically. So most of those first couple of days were just me trying to get the Albanians not to fight with the extras, with the homeless extras. Well, at that point, our main actor, like the older actor, was also harassing a bunch of the extras, because it turned out that at that point, one of my friends, who was also a producer, had contacted me and told me why this guy had never been hired before. And that's because he basically got Me Too'd before Me Too'd ever existed.
Oh, no,
Nice.
I knew it.
So basically that entire week was me just calming down Albanians and this crazy actor and these drunk extras, and everything was falling apart. I remember the first day of shooting, we were done at like 6 p.m. and everyone was driving home, and I was just standing at the window seeing them drive off and just told myself, like, okay, I'm fucked. Like this is not going to be good. And I poured all the money I had into this, so I had no choice. We had to go on. But during the week, things gradually came together. Like everyone started to gel more. Like the shoots went pretty well. The actors did their job. The older guy did a pretty great job, even. So I was getting more and more confident. I was getting pretty happy that we were finally getting done. And then we had a little bit of money left. I think we had like a 1 or 2K left. And the Albanians wanted to throw like a big rap party. So I figured, okay, well, they did their best. Everyone did a great job. That'll be the last of the money then. We'll just throw this big rap party where everyone will be happy and everyone will be great, and it'll be an uplifting message to the crew, and it'll be fun to do that. So we did, but the Albanians got pretty drunk during the rap party and basically destroyed part of the school.
Oh, no.
So afterwards, after we were done shooting and after the school reopened again, they came back to me. I didn't have insurance, of course, because I didn't think of that, because I was an idiot back then. So I had to pay the school a couple of $1,000, which I didn't have anymore. So that was problem number one. But the bigger problem was that when I gave all the footage to the editors, they called me the very next day and told me half the footage was missing. And it turns out what happened was it was a multicam show, but the Albanians only used 2 cameras instead of 4.
Oh.
So we only had everything from the left side and not from the right side. And I already paid them. They didn't want to negotiate anymore. So, okay, we were kind of fucked. And then the editors told me, because it looked that crappy, that they didn't want to do it anymore. So I had to do it myself. I had to edit it myself in the end, which took weeks. This whole thing, I think in total, took me an entire year to get done. And the result was not good. I mean, it was pretty bad. But after that, of course, we still had to go to the networks to show it to them because I needed to get some money back at least. Of course, there was very little interest because it wasn't good. It just wasn't that great. And meanwhile, throughout the entire process, that actor kept calling me every single night to ask me when we were going to start shooting for real, because this was just a pilot. So he just kept asking me when we were going to shoot. So every night I had to tell him, no, we're just going through the networks now, and then we'll see what happens. And then when news got back from the networks to us, they very little interest, of course. Some of them were little interested, but they didn't want to use that main actor. And one of them offered me basically the money that I put into this show just for the script alone.
Oh.
But their condition was they'll buy the script and they'll never want to see us again.
Oh.
So we don't get anything to do with it. They hire different actors. They can change whatever they want, but the property, the IP becomes theirs.
Oh, man.
So of course I agreed immediately because I knew this wasn't really going anywhere. So I did. I sold it to them. I got my money somewhat back, and then the very next year or the year after that, I saw it on TV, and it was something completely different.
No way.
It had nothing to do with the show I created. Basically, it was completely focused on the kids, no longer on the teachers. Different names, different setting. It was completely different.
Oh man!
But ever since then, I've always had this feeling like, oh, I should have handled that differently, because every time that old actor got interviewed by a magazine or something, or somebody checking up on him over the last decade, where they asked him, how have you been? He always mentioned us. And he always told everyone that we were idiots and assholes who ruined his life. So for the past decade, every time there was an interview with this guy, he would mention, not us by name really, but like, I did this really crappy pilot a couple of years ago and it really disgusted me and I never want to do it again.
Wow.
And so
I have this guy, by the way. I know who he is.
He died
I Googled,
recently.
It could have been like one of 3 Franks, but the more details you gave, the more I know who it is.
He died.
I won't say who it is.
Yeah,
but
he's dead though.
He died 3 months ago.
3 months.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I still have emails from him from like a year ago where he's just yelling at me in all caps and just sending me emails that he did.
He's like Marlon Brando, but worse.
Well, yeah, if only he had the talent of Marlon Brando. I don't want to talk too much shit about the guy because he's gone, of course.
Yeah,
and he was at some point, he was a great actor. But man, if anything ever taught me to not work with actors again, it was that guy. But that basically... my dream basically got evaporated and destroyed and completely smushed into the ground 15 years ago. So, Matty, good luck.
Yeah.
No, I'm only kidding. What you're doing is amazing. I think there's a lot of lessons in failure. I think my biggest regret is when we did this, that YouTube wasn't as big. Because if we could have done this independently without networks and just make it in English and put it on YouTube, it would have worked way better. But we didn't think about that at the time. It wasn't really around. Because when I see YouTube now, I always think like, fuck, why wasn't this around 20 years ago?
Yeah.
That would have been perfect for everyone.
You got so close, Locke, at like a young age. In fact, as you're telling the story and you're like, I have this script and network interest and I have a producer and we got this actor on board, at that point of your story, your excitement must have been so palpable because everything was going in the right direction.
Yeah.
You're going to have a pilot, and who knows, that could have led to series.
Yeah, I was so happy with the script that I wrote too. Like I really put everything I had into this. But as soon as it started to become real, I knew that I made a couple of very critical mistakes. It was all on me. I was the director. So it was all on me. It was my fault. I can't blame anyone else. But I knew as soon as we started shooting, like, oh no, what have I done? What have I done? And there was no going back again. So we had to. I had to go through the looking glass, which I did. But to make like a positive, to put a positive spin at the end of it, thanks to Matty, I've learned to appreciate things like this again. Because Matty, first of all, you inspire people with your game, of course. That's amazing. But also just your YouTube stuff. You told me to start my own channel and to do my own stuff. And that's now I finally get that passion again. And now I finally get that thing again of like, oh, you can work towards something and you can just create something on your own. And you don't need a whole crew of like 20 people or actors or producers or music or whatever. Ugh, you can just do it on your own. And that's wonderful. That's why I wish YouTube was around way earlier. But it's thanks to people like Matty who inspire people that is something like that is still palpable and possible. No, it's because all of it is because of you, I think. Because you also put me on Retro Rebound a couple of times, and then told me to start my own shit. So you invoke passion in people, which is very important, and not a lot of people do that. You do that too, Colin. Both of you do that, which is very important, I think, and not a lot of people do that anymore.
Thank you. Yeah, I always like try to tell, like, when we're working on the game, and obviously there's good stretches. Like right now we're in a really good stretch, but there's tough stretches. And I always just tell people, I'm like, keep playing games, because I'm like, it's just as important as making the game is like playing and remembering, like, oh yeah, this is why, you know, because you'll get those games that you come across, like Expedition 33, you come across, you're like, oh, like this is that feeling you want to create. Like I want someone to play my thing and just have that moment of like wonder and awe and be like, how? That's crazy. Obviously very ambitious, but you know, I guess it comes with the mindset of like, if you're going to do it, like gotta go all the way. Like, you know, you can't, you know, no one succeeds in half measures, I feel. So I appreciate you saying that. Colin, I'm sure you have a plethora of stories.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, like the biggest all in moves were done in public. And so I think a lot of people know all about that. I will say, you know, listening to you about game dev and everything, it's like Lilymo. It's like I'm really lucky to be involved with Lilymo, but it's all basically done for free because we make just enough money to make the next game or the next set of games. And so I don't take any money from the company, as people know. So I would be way more involved if I could extract way more money out of it, but I can only really extract way more money out of it by putting more time into it. And so it's kind of a catch-22 situation. It bums me out because our games are getting, this is just me kind of venting, I guess, but like I feel like our games are actually getting better and they're selling worse. And it's really disheartening because I feel like the game space is so crowded.
Yeah, it's declining.
And no one really gives a fuck about it. And I don't mean the space. They don't give a fuck about the crowding. And that really pisses me off.
Every month there's so many things coming out.
And people are like, well, you just got to compete. And I'm like, I get that. Like, I get it. But I just wish people more objectively looked at the space and saw like how much. I look on PSN all the time, like multiple times a week. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? You got to be kidding me with half of it. AI art and just like regurgitated asset flips and trophy games and all the rest. And it really makes me like, it's disheartening. I don't even care about Steam or anything like that. I wish we would sell games on Steam, but it was just, you got to be really special to sell games on Steam. Steam is just a fucking void. But like on PSN and Xbox and Switch, it's like, man,
the standards are just too low.
There's no standard.
There are standards.
I mean, there is no standard. So like to me, I feel like it's becoming less and less likely to, like, we're very lucky, just like you are, Matty, actually. Like a great advantage for the game you're working on is you. Yeah. Your platform, you have 600,000 subscribers on YouTube. You'll be able to show people trailers. You have a name. You can probably get meetings with publishers and marketers and stuff that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get.
You'd think.
Yeah.
You'd think, bro.
Well, this is also
got
a pretty bad,
to tell you. Oh my God.
This is a pretty bad time also to be seeking investment. Just anyone in any industry. But especially in entertainment.
People are hedging.
Yeah. And it's just, dude, I don't blame them. I look at the game space and I'm like, this is a fucking mess. Because people are like, oh, it's crashing. I'm like, no, it's not. The money is increasing. It's the exact opposite of a crash. It's being sucked up by fewer and fewer games that make more and more money. And that's just the nature of the game. I mean, it is what it is. But to me, as a single player, more old school, run through games, beat a lot of games, buy a lot of games, I'm like, man, it's becoming more depressing for me because I feel like, what do we have to do to break through? We have all of these advantages. And I speak about us with Lilymo, and everyone's like, well, just make a good game. And I'm like, I don't think the first Perils of Baking is a good game. That it's a fine game. It was Barry before me, and it had nothing to do with it. And not that I would have made it any better, but it was him doing it and trying it. But everything, and I think he would be the first one to tell you that it's like, fine. It's just like a little self-made platformer. Everything since then, I think is great. I do believe that. And so it's like, yeah, we are delivering, and I'm very disenchanted right now with like the whole space, and I wish I could justify spending more time on and with Lily Mo, because basically what happens is, I'll tell you right now, I mean, I think I've said this before, is like we have a shit ton of games in development all the time. Right now, I think we have probably 12 different prototypes. And what Barry does is he just jumps between them like as he feels like he's inspired by something. And so we still have a prototype that's like pre-Twin Breaker. And we have prototypes that we work on with other people and just ideas. We did have a publishing kind of, or a meeting with like a company that was interested in us doing something with an IP that we started fucking around with. And, but like basically what happens is like Barry becomes comfortable with like an idea and is like, we're going to go and really do this now. And then it's like, okay, now I engage and I like play it and I look at it and I'm like, what is this? Like, what is the story? How are we going to do this? What is the rationale behind it? Who are the characters? Like, what is the world? And then I just set all of that up and I like on like a treatment, as it were. And then I'm like, all right, I'll see you later. And then like, so this is what we're aiming for. So for instance, we're building a game right now with Castlevania assets. This is not uncommon at all. And then you start replacing all the sprites and shit as you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I set up, he's like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. Like, what is it? And I'm like, all right, here's the story. Actually, an interesting thing, I won't say exactly what it is, but we want the people that were working on it, because we were like collaborating with some people now. They're like, they wanted it to be Roman era. And I was like, that's cool. I'm not writing it. Like, I don't know anything about that era. I don't care about that era. And so they seeded to me like, all right, so what do you want to do? And I was like, this is what I think it'll be about. Here's what I think who the character is. This is the world. Here are the stages that you're going to build. Let me, when it's 95% done, I'll return. We'll work on the intro, the ending, all the interstitial stuff. It's not unlike the way writers work in the real industry, but especially freelance writers. But I would love to be more involved on a day-to-day basis. But because I can't make any money off of it right now, and it really needs to go back to Barry, and it should go back to Barry. Barry, I mean, I say it all the time because I want to be clear. Like, Barry does all the work. If making up stories is work, then I make up stories. I have a complete lore about my own dogs. You think I can't make and we've gone into that before, like deep lore about their lives and like what they actually do and how they make a living and their friends. And like, you think I can't make up a story? That's like the easiest thing in the world. So I always concede and say like, Barry's doing all the work. And he deserves all the credit, but I wish we would have that one big hit where, and I'm not saying like huge, our biggest game, I think, has sold 35,000 copies, but it's done so at different levels of cost and all the rest. And it was a $7 game originally. So it's not like you can make that much money off of that, but having like a 100,000 seller of a $10 game would be revolutionary.
Yeah.
For what we were able to do. It's not even frankly that much money. That would be $700,000 gross. It's not that much money. I mean, like it's a lot of money for one person to live on for several years, but it's not like enough to get a team going and make commitments, but it's enough for you to get to the next step in a bigger way. And so I just wanted to, hearing you talk about game dev, it's interesting because you're the only person I really know in our podcasting space that does understand it at that level. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I'm grateful for about the experience working with Lilymo and how I hope we will continue to work together for many years. I mean, I own a piece of the company, so I guess it is mine to do with something as well. But it's like I understand things so much better. I say that to people all the time. I'm like, I was an expert in video games and like what video games are, how they're played and dissecting them and analyzing them, but making them, like I've learned people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They have no idea. They really don't. And
it shows. Yeah.
And frankly, I've said it before. I didn't know either. I knew a little bit more than the average bear because I used to visit studios and write stories about them and see things early, but like really being in the weeds and understanding things,
seeing that gradual growth.
Right. And like,
very informative.
Right. Like just understanding what it is to fail certification, understanding, difference between hot fixes and patches, one thing I've always said is like, I get so annoyed when teams are like, oh, it's hard to fix this. And I'm like, dude, we patch our games so much. It's such a fucking cop out for you to say that, or, this, that, and the other thing. So, or I always make fun of like the codes, like, oh, we don't have enough codes for you. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah. You do learn a lot about that. Like the stuff that this industry uses as a shield, to like whether it to be deflect criticism or, to keep problems away. You start to learn a lot of the lies once you get in the weeds, I should say, because that's like the big thing for me is just seeing like the terminology that's used or, oh, you can't do this. I'm like, you can.
Right. Yeah, you guys are like, it's so important. Maddie's going there now too, but Kyle's like the literary critic that's now written a few novels.
Right.
Like,
and
that makes you better. It gives you the street cred.
Yeah, it does that. I mean, definitely does that. And it also gives me new skin in some sense. Like, people were very critical of Twin Breaker's story. They're like, why are you writing this fucking weird sci-fi shit? I mean, I've gone over this multiple times. Like, why? But it's like, it forced me to confront it and be like, yeah, it's easy to talk shit, isn't it, Colin? Mm-hmm. But it's harder to like put, and that's of course what Roger Ebert frankly famously learned when he directed a film,
right? And
people were really hard on it, and it's like, so I am happy for that too, because it is deeply credibility building, of course, even if they're just small indie games. But receiving people's feedback and also their joy and like how much they love the games too is dope. But just getting a whole view of that, I think, has been really nice. But I wanted to say about going all in that and pushing the chips forward is like, I would do that in games in slightly different circumstances. If Last Stand wasn't so big, if so many people didn't rely on me, if we weren't making so much income, and if I felt also like there was a better bet like 15 years ago. Like I think a game like Habroxia 2 on Xbox Live in 2009 would sell 500,000 copies.
Yeah, different story. Yeah.
And
I get it.
That's the scary part about it all. You can just never predict when and where your game's going to land and like what's the environment like, not just in like amount of releases, but just like what are people vibing with?
Right, exactly. It's just that we also are very stubborn. And we say this a lot in terms of like, they're like, oh, you want to make like, old school style games. And I'm like, no, we are making NES games, period. Like, we're not trying to make like things that are inspired by anything. We want it to be something you would have rented in 1989 from Blockbuster. So it's, of course, that's going to limit our reach.
Yeah,
and the new game, the RPG is more SNES style, like early SNES style. And that has been a learning experience for many reasons. Just in the sense that it's
way more
so complex. And we're not making a game that's like, your game is way more ambitious than what we're doing, just by nature of what it is. We're making a game that that I would consider like a Final Fantasy IV style game, but not, early SNES graphics, fairly linear, not too long. Mm-hmm. And it's still like so complicated. Like, and the reason, Barry does a great job. I mean, building the game is not even the problem. It's balancing it and all of the art. And you just take a lot of things for granted when you like just combat systems and how hard something should be. Right. Yeah. And we learned a lot of difficult choices, specifically with game difficulty, where people are like, dude, this game is so hard. And I'm like, it's really not. But then you like start having to listen to the audience and be like, I guess who cares what you think of it? It's like, what do they think? They think it's too hard. And you might be so good at it because you've played it 5,000 times when it was in development, and so there's a lot of interesting things to think about it.
But I give you guys so much credit. I have to say, like, from an outsider's perspective looking in, I would initially surface level think, Matty, Colin, you have a public, you have deeply passionate, you have a fan base, you have people that are ride or die, right? They're going to do, especially because this is an adjacent thing. You guys talk about video games. That's your livelihood. Now you're making them. Seems like such a no-brainer. But I also have to give you guys so much credit because beyond the fact that like it could be a lucrative thing or kind of a tie-in, but it's also a huge risk because you guys are, you are risking that these things will be a failure in some way, or they won't do as well, or people won't like them. So people have to think of that too. Like it's pretty bold. It takes a lot of courage to do what you guys are doing.
Thanks. And that's what I was saying earlier. I guess I didn't loop around and say like the reason that we're so lucky, Matty and I are lucky, is just like we have built-in marketing that people would just dream of having, like a show like Sacred Symbols, and yet even only that goes so far. Tribreaker only sold a few thousand copies. I mean, it didn't do well at all,
right?
And we didn't really know what it was going to do. We just kind of made it because we wanted to make it. But and it's like, damn, that we would have been irrelevant if we didn't have the marketing behind it. And that is what people launch into mostly. And that's why I think it's such a sad situation right now, and why there needs to be more gatekeeping and stuff. But that's not for me to decide. That's for the audience, who clearly doesn't give a flying fuck, and the storefronts who can care even less. So, but I did want to say just generally about the stories that I've told about going all in with leaving IGN, leaving Kind of Funny and all of that, is that I really do encourage people to just believe that you can do anything you want to do. It's not guaranteed to work. In fact, it's probably not going to work depending on what you're trying to do and the ambition that you have and all of the rest. But the one thing I've learned over time is, well, let me say this instead, is that my patience for people that stay still and just complain is, I don't have any of it anymore. Because I won't speak about specific people in our family, but it's like, I'm so sick of hearing how much people hate their jobs, hate their situations, don't do a fucking thing about it, do this for years. It paints their entire personality. It paints everything around them. And I'm like, all you have to do is something different. Don't you get it? Just try something different. It's scary. Some people have a lot on the line, right? And I get that. But I had a lot on the line. Just because I don't have kids or things like that doesn't mean I don't have a lot on the line. I had a career where I could still be at IGN now. Like, guaranteed. If I stayed there, I would still be there. Like, there's just no doubt. So I had a lot on the line. I sacrificed those things, and I sacrificed easy money at Kind of Funny for something different. And it ended up making me much more money, and I appreciate that. But that was not guaranteed, and that was not even really the intention, as Dagan will remember. Is like, I just want to survive. Yeah, it's great making this much money at Kind of Funny and doing all this. And yeah, I sold my shares back to the company and made a lot of money doing that. I'm not going to lie about that. But I also was like, I just want to be comfortable and happy. I don't need this much. And it turned into something so much bigger than that. And I can't believe that. But that was not the intention. And sometimes you find really good shit, like the pot of gold on the other side of the hill. Sometimes or the rainbow, like sometimes you do get there. Like sometimes it does work. For all the times that things can go pear-shaped and get fucked up, like you'll never really know until you do it. And so I understand that risk mitigation is good. I am actually a very conservative, small c, not political, but just conservative person. We were talking about this with the lottery and gambling and all that. It's like, I save my money. I don't make big risks on the market. I don't spend a lot. I don't buy a lot. I wear the same clothes for many years. I go through this. I mean, people see over the year, it would be funny to see like a montage of the same 20 shirts I've probably worn on the show, like over the years. I've been
wearing this shirt since senior year of high school.
Right. It's like, I don't care about a lot of those things. I live in a, you know, I guess I'm an upper middle class neighborhood. I'm good. Like, I'm totally good. Yeah. And it's all I ever really wanted was stability. So that one of the bets that I made brought that level of stability, and even more. It makes me just want to encourage people to try.
Yeah.
But understand it's all a dice roll. Like it's all a risk mitigated by a series of dice rolls. Yeah. Locke had brought up how he saved his money. That's a huge augment to your situation. If you don't have to if you don't have a gun against your head, right? And then you have time you bought yourself time, and then intention, knowledge, a plan, like everything will make and weight the dice a little bit better. And you still might roll a D20 and it still might come up a 1, big blunder. You throw your weapon across the fucking field. You kill one of your party members accidentally, right? But you could also roll a 20. And you can weight it more towards higher numbers by just making the right choices, but eventually you have to jump.
Yeah,
and this is the thing that it's scary, man. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I remember how, especially leaving IGN was incredibly hard for me. It was harder for me than it was for the other guys by far combined. Because I was there the longest, and I also was probably the most company man of the four of us. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you just have that feeling, or you need to know that gnawing. You got to know the worst gnawing is not knowing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Of the window passing.
Yep.
Yep. So I just wanted to say that. I don't want to go over old stories that people know many times over at this point, but rather just to encourage people to say, like, you could do it. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing special about me that made it work. I'm not uniquely talented. In fact, I might be really lucky and a serendipitous receiver of good timing many times in my life. You might even look at me as below average in some sense. but I made it work. And if I can do it, and I'm not saying what I'm doing or at the level I'm doing it, but if I could do it, whatever it is in your life, or that thing that you're setting aside and you have a dream I feel like you don't always want to jump at the low hanging fruit. And you don't always want to take risks, but you got to do it a few times in your life. You fucking got to do it. Or you're going to look back and you're going to have regrets and you're going to sound like an old embittered person waiting to retire, as opposed to someone that sees the day. And
I feel like what's special about you guys is you got that and get that at a young age. It's only as I get older and I see, I could kind of see the forest through the trees a little bit, that I see that like, it's so much better, that old adage, it's so much better to have tried and failed than to have never tried. Like, you have to take the leap. You have to take it. I mean, I could stay in television animation for the rest of my life. I'm entitled to that. I know I'm talented. I know the 12 principle animation of, the 12 principles of animation is my native dialect. Like, that's the language that I speak. That's where I'm most comfortable. And I could ride this out like the other downturns and do this forever. Like, this is what my God-given talent is, but I don't want to. You know what I mean? It's making me miserable.
It's good, man. You gotta do that.
Taking what I knew and I'm leaping. I'm finding something adjacent that I know I'll also be good at, So, but like Colin's saying, that takes courage. And for me, that took steeling myself over years. Don't be that stubborn.
Yeah, I just don't want people to waste time. I mean, time is a valuable thing when you're preparing and getting your mind right, but don't miss your windows either. I know that's a very nebulous thing, like, because it's going to be a moving target for each person.
Yeah,
but I don't know. True. I just feel like there is a risk aversion that is good, and there is a risk and reasonable, and then there's a risk aversion that keeps you stuck. And I'm glad I did what I did, obviously. I mean, it obviously worked out. I wonder what I'd be saying if it all blew up in my face, which could have happened. I mean, it could have easily happened.
There were no promises.
No.
But that's what makes it cool.
Yeah. I was accused for many years of riding another person's coattails. So, like, to me, I wanted to... You don't hear that anymore, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And people say a lot of things about me, but not that. And I started to believe it. So like sometimes it's important to prove to yourself that there are alternate truths if you just work to find them. So that's what I'll say. I'll leave it there.
I love it.
Well said.
I'm inspired.
Yeah. That not getting stuck thing resonates a lot because, I always think I love doing YouTube. I want to do it as long as I can, but also there's a part of me that believes it's changing a lot. So I don't know if I'll always on this philosophy, but I'm always like, it's kind of a young man's game. Like, as you get older, the amount of drive you have to put into it weekly, much like Colin says, I always say the same thing to people when they're like, how do you do it? I'm like, I literally have no special skills or talents. I don't. I'm good at talking.
Yes, you do.
I'm serious though. I sincerely, I have knowledge of gaming. And it's probably because I just was a fucking no life growing up. Like, I'm a product of being a hermit.
I feel the same way. I mean, I know this specific stuff very well. It's not particularly useful.
Like it's funny. You know why I know this? I'm reading a book about game design, and I'm starting to use this term that I say I speak gamer, and it's very corny, but it's fucking true because it's talking about game design. It's a philosophy driven book, and as they're talking about design on a philosophical level, I'm like, I think I got you. But then they bring in the game element of it, like a video game reference directly. And it's like this fucking cog in my brain just turns. And I'm like, I totally get that now. Like, if you make a game comparison to anything, I'm like, got it. Or when I'm talking, I'm usually drawing it to a game. So I definitely eat, sleep, and breathe it. That is my secret to people who always ask me. I'm just like, yeah, I fucking love it. Like, I adore video games more than anything. And that is a separating factor. But there is that part of me that worries, like, when I'm not as youthful, and I've seen a lot of it. You go through that wave in your life where it's funny. People think I get bitter now, and I'm like, bro, like, you think I'm fucking bitter? Like, the amount of shit I love is it's crazy to me. But I'm like, when you get older and you've truly started to see the same, like I'm getting to that part where I'm starting to see like cycles begin anew and like they're reigniting old flames. Like we're in that remake remaster era and they're like, hey, remember this thing you got? And like I see a lot of people around me like, yeah, and I'm playing. I'm like, not really clicking as much as it did that first time around. Like I'm getting there, right? So I understand it's a young man's game. And in that sort of foresight, I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't want to show myself the door, but I also want to have a legacy where when I go, whenever that may be, that I don't go because I was forced out the door. Because it's like, dude, shut.
Yeah, you want to go on your own terms.
Exactly, right? And I don't know when that will be. I don't plan for it for honestly like at least over a decade. But, you know, whenever that time comes, yeah, I want it to be on my own terms. But so part of it's also like planting the seeds so that when it's time for me to get out of the public eye, it's like, you know, so long. Thank you for everything. Not like, dude, you could not go soon enough if you tried, you know? So,
Matty, when you say it's a young man's game, are you more referring to the energy that it requires to be consistent and turn out content? Or are you saying from the perspective of people want to hear a young person's voice?
I actually think that's where I said, like, I don't know how long we'll hold on a philosophy for, because what's starting to grow a little bit are like game devs talking. Like I love Mark Dara's YouTube channel, Tim Kane's, of course. And these are older gentlemen that just have great videos with very little editing and they just talk. And these are guys who just like, you know, been there, done that. That stuff's great. I know MVG is a little bit older. Like there are older gamer voices that are becoming more valued because they have seen it all. So again, I could be totally wrong about it, but I think my channel as it stands right now demands a strong level of energy and to be sharp because I'm posting so much.
Yeah.
And I've talked many times about how that's not forever sustainable. It's sustainable now because I've done it for so long and I play so much and I just have such like a strong schedule that I can do that. But there's a time where like I always grew up on a work now, play later mindset. And like eventually I've sacrificed a lot to get where I'm at, like personally, health, professionally, like I've gone through it all. And eventually I do want to have that moment where I'm not coasting by any stretch, because I've already talked about my thoughts on comfort, but where 5 o'clock hits, 6 o'clock hits, and it's like, you're done. You know, the beauty of what I do now is that sometimes I can be like, you know, it's Wednesday. I got videos stacked. Maybe not Wednesday is a good example. That's when we record Duke. But it's Thursday. I got videos stacked. Taking today off. And I just get to make that call. That's the beauty of the job that I run now. But most days, even when I'm off, I'm on. Yesterday was supposed to be an off day. Today, outside of Stelly, was supposed to be an off day. Like both times it wasn't. And I'm sick. So that's what I mean when it demands energy. It you know, consistency, as Colin knows more than anyone, consistency is fucking everything. I always tell people, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I upload every week. I upload multiple times a week because there's something to be said about people counting on you to be there. This news broke. I know Matty's going to be there. Something Xbox RPG related. Now I feel fortunate enough. My dream was always just, I want to talk about things. Like I don't want to talk about just Bethesda, for example. So I feel really lucky that I can just talk about things now. But that association gets, I think, subconsciously created. Like there is a sort of, I've noticed like when Bethesda did Oblivion Remastered and I was dark for a couple of days because I was just playing the game and just being a fan. I read the tweets, I read the comments. They're like, where does this guy go? Like, you know, the weight is there because that's built into people now because they know you're going to be there because I've been there since Skyrim. And as a fan, I've been there since Morrowind. So it's built in. People know that. And that's why I think it works. I'm consistent, but that's, again, energy. It's like the only reason I'm consistent is because I want to be there for these things. And Locke knows because I was talking to him about it, but it's like, there's so many games I'm playing now. I'm like, I got to make better choices now because my time does shrink in these stretches that I'm not accepting. You know, like I'm playing Tainted Grail. I'm like, why the fuck did I start this game? It's amazing. I love it. But I'm like, I didn't finish Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 yet. My Oblivion remastered playthrough, I was like 30 hours into, but it got stopped because of bugs and crashes. I was like, all right, that's technically still not done. So I'm starting something else. You know, so I kind of throw myself into these spots, I guess. But I think part of my willingness is also just the audience being so ready and willing and flexible, you know, because like I did Night Ring impressions, but like I used to be like, I have to beat the game and I have to beat the game to talk about it. But a lot of my audience was like, no, we'll just take like impressions. And I've started to realize there's value in my experience to like just multiple phases of content. Like, here are my impressions. And to be transparent, like if the impressions do really well, then I'm like, okay, I'll do like final thoughts when the time comes, which is what I did for Oblivion. But there are some games like Elden Ring, Night Ring, where I'm like, that's not my bread and butter. But it's like, here are my thoughts. Like, maybe this helps you gauge, if you value my opinion, where to be at for you. And then you go from there. You check someone else out. But just, they give me a lot of the flexibility now where like impression pieces work, news pieces work. So I kind of, again, just need that energy to be able to do all of that. It takes time and sacrifice. But I think as I get older, there will be a point where I'm just like, okay, I think that ticking clock, again, since sixth grade, like, what was I, 10 to 12? I forgot how old I fucking was at that point. Like, it's more than half my life just making YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So you kind of want to, like, I'm really big on legacy. And if I were to go into this diatribe a bit further, Colin's the one who inspired me, dude. Like, I remember when I think I just started doing the freelance videos for you, that's when you announced like you were co-owning Lilymo. And that opened my mind. I'm like, that's such an interesting thing to do. Like, I never would have thought of that. I was like, this just isn't my lane. I'm here to talk about games. But you did that. And that just kind of lived in the back of my head. And I picked up Twin Breaker. I thought it was great. I was like, okay, like, this is cool that like you got to do this with a team. And then it wasn't until I played Persona 5 Royal that I was like, I was so deeply moved that it just, those two forces combined, they were like a crash where I was like, I sincerely assessed my YouTube channel and I was like, I have nothing to be ashamed of, but yet I feel that way because I was like, I haven't done much in my eyes. And it's funny because it goes to show that I'm sure there are people who would look at that in 2020 at the time I experienced that were like, man, I wish I had that. So I recognize in that moment, I was really in my emotions, but it was such a powerful feeling that overcame me that I was like, I need to do something else that feels important to me and others. Like, there's no way the feeling I just got from Persona is the feeling that someone's going to get after watching me in some impassioned rant on YouTube. It's not even fucking close.
Right. Right.
Like, I don't want to be I don't know if it's ego. I was like, I don't want to be like a Blink in your life. Like, I want to remember that guy. I don't know. There's just something about that, because at the same time, there's just so many people that have done so many important things that it's like, you're just going to be a footnote at the end of the day. So sometimes, some days I'm just like, why the fuck does it matter? But I look at the games industry as a very moldable place that needs serious change. And I'm like, if I could at least leave a footprint, I'll feel pretty good about it at the end.
Yeah, I think I totally understand what you're saying. And it's funny, man, you were talking about consistency. It's like, it's just crazy to me how inconsistent people are. And when it's one of the things that you can control, it's really one of the only things you can control, and you choose not to control it. So you don't care that much. And I always make fun of like, no stream today. See you guys next time. It's like, okay, good luck.
That's usually it for some people. That's why I'm like very, it was something that Laylee didn't understand at first when we first started dating. She's like, why do you have to upload today? I was like, you don't get it. I was like, when you go, it's not like a lot of people trick themselves. And I was wrong about that. Like, your career dies overnight if you skip one day. Like, that much is not true. But like, when you're gone and then you're gone again and again, it's like that grace fades fast.
Yeah, definitely.
Get replaced.
People stop tuning in.
And it's funny you say that specifically about not understanding, because I had a similar situation with Micah. Not that she's really necessarily wrong, but it reminds me of when the Insomniac leak happened. It was like right when we were going away for the holidays, like for December, like leaving for 3 weeks, not doing any content. I mean, I would be home, and I'm like, I really feel like I should be doing something for this. And she's like, you're on vacation. Like, just wait until we get back. And I did a seed, and she was right ultimately. But at the same time, I'm like, you don't get it. And I work like, not that she's wrong, but I worked with people at IGN where some people got it. Like, Greg really got it. Like, we were both like obsessed with being first or being the best, or like, I've talked many times is that like the reason Ryan McCaffrey who's awesome, was hired at IGN was because like they were like, we really need to balance out the Xbox part of the site, because it seems like IGN is just a PlayStation website, but they're not doing anything wrong. They're just covering everything, and they're doing way better than every other part of the site. So they got people like Ryan McCaffrey involved, and Rich George later, and all the rest, and with Nintendo and all the rest. And so it's like, I worked with people that were like you and me, Matty, where it's like, yeah, what matters is, you know what I remember is being at a hotel when they announced the Vita Slim, and like at a hotel presentation, and me running out with my laptop, like during the seminar with my laptop and like the hotspot, and then sitting on the beach on Santa Monica, because it was like right on the beach, and like writing that story and publishing it before anyone else could. And I was like, and then I walked back in with my laptop and I'm like, I beat all you motherfuckers. Like it's, you're all still sitting here listening,
My equivalent of that is when E3 was prominent. I mean, it still kind of is. The thing I'm about to talk about still happens sometimes. Like I was invited to Summer Games Fest. I'm not going this year, but like a lot of people are like, oh, you going to a live presentation? I'm like, you fucking kidding me? No. And they're like, why? I'm like, well, number one, I could watch it from like a hotel room, but two, it's like I'm flipping my camera on right when it's done,
right?
And I'm literally putting out my video and giving my thoughts, and like that is the difference in this. It's a very, very, by the way, when I say sacrifice, I am not talking about anything noble here, but is the like that's why when people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, it's that fraction of a difference. You know, there are idiots online who literally like race their videos out, and you can tell. Like take your time to some extent, but I mean, and give a good conversation and give people something to think about. But I think those things are difference makers. And again, why it's kind of like a young man's game.
Yeah. When I see, not that we're like competing with anyone really, but and we're not competing with streamers certainly, but when I see that stuff pop up, I always just think I'm like, oh my God, I would bash you, you know, like, and like a one-on-one competition, like you don't even care about the things you could control. So I'm willing to go head to head with you any day. Yeah. So anyway, that just came to mind for me with that, but we'll leave it there.
Hot scoop. That makes, I mean, that was one of the things that your profession is fraught with difficulty though, or challenge though, right? Because you guys could roll out like Sacred Symbols is going to be recorded on Thursday, but for instance, but you may not have the news that, you know, the breaking news until Thursday morning.
Right. Yeah. We record pickups when that happens if we can, but sometimes we let things go. Like I think the Marathon art stealing thing happened like late in our recording and with Marathon. And I was like, honestly, who gives a shit? Like, we don't even know anything yet. So like, why even bother? Yeah, and because we let it go a week and then we got like comment and all these different things, it was better the next time around. But sometimes you miss things too. A big thing I've been dealing with.
That's where the experience kicks in though, because you have to make those moment calls. And sometimes the pickup or the like rush video, like we got to talk about this now versus like, we need to wait. It's hard to gauge it first until you do it for a while. I feel
the bigger thing I was going to say that I'm dealing with now, and I finally had to confront it, I guess, more publicly, is just so many. It's to Matty's point of like people writing, you know, trying to be first, get SEO and scoop things or whatever. And so, people like mining Sacred Symbols for news, which is totally fine because there's often things on there that are newsworthy. But then people misquoting it, misrepresenting it. Then the blowback comes on you when things don't happen, which I had this recently happen with Marathon. And that's the thing that's bothering me a little bit more than the YouTubers are like actually the people writing legacy news and just mining stuff and then disingenuously presenting what you said. Then what you said in quotes wasn't real because it didn't happen the way. And then they blame you for it. And so I'm like, but I didn't say that. So like, you're blaming me for something I didn't say or do.
Oh, that's so weird. That's so weird.
And so I finally said something about Marathon this past few days on Twitter where I was like, listen, like, I didn't say this. And I didn't want to go further and make it longer, but I wanted to there was a paragraph originally where I was like, you guys, a lot of you don't care and that's cool. But if you do care, like understand that this kind of thing actually hurts the person you're doing it to because they look unreliable because the thing they said in quotes wasn't accurate, but they didn't say it.
Right.
And you get away with it. But I don't get away with it. And so I'm going to start checking that shit way harder moving forward because I don't think it's fair.
They're citing you by name.
Yeah. And I totally think that's fine. And a lot of people cite us properly. In fact, I see it a lot of our podcasts to people I know in the industry. Like if with Fair Games, when I talked about Project Hearts and like the close test that happened and how, I heard from someone that played it that it was not good. I told some people at various websites that I like where I'm like, you might want to listen to this because this is newsier. So I like people I like at Push Square or VGC or whatever. They don't always write the things that I send them. Sometimes they ignore me straight up, but I do seed it because I know they'll treat it well. And then people are lazy, so they'll cite them as opposed to. Gotcha. So that's literally the intent. Is to say like if it's going to come from somewhere, it should come from these guys because they're fucking not retarded. And then like, the Game Post or whoever writes, like, we'll steal it from them. And they, as opposed to being the source of misquoting me. So yeah, that's the intent behind that, but that's just a little inside baseball, I guess.
Matty, what do you think? Are you satisfied?
Super satisfied.
All right. What do you guys think now? Let me take your temps. We're going to be, by the time we're done with goodbyes, we're going to be at 3 hours. Or we could do one more topic. I'm
happy to call it, but whatever you guys want to do. What do you think?
Whatever you guys want.
I am a little under the weather, so don't ask me on this one. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well,
my topic could be carried over.
Leave it to Lock to decide. Put all the pressure on him. One.
What do you think?
To me,
that's a lot of pressure.
Oh, well, let's keep going. No. Let's call it one more hour just for Matty.
Yeah, no,
no, Matty's sick, so yeah.
I'm fine with that. Maybe I can go mow the lawn now too. I don't know.
People will be satisfied with this length.
Whoa.
Hey, we haven't had a good this episode. Hey. All right, you guys. So let's go around, say goodbyes. Kyle, I'll start with you. I started with you at the beginning. Let's just keep it. Let's go even Steven. I'll start with you at the end.
Sure.
Heading into the weekend, people get very upset with us.
Yeah, heading into the weekend. Happy weekend,
as
everyone.
You roll into your Monday morning. It's kind of mean.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on today. We might go to dinner tonight, but might not because Micah doesn't like driving through the rain, which I totally understand. So, it might rain tonight as it's been for 10 days. So maybe not go out tonight, but I don't know. I'm in that weird space. You can't mow the wet lawn, as we were saying, but like it's getting a little long and I don't know. Is it dry enough now? I don't know. And it's going to rain more. I don't know. I'm in a little bit of a hot spot here.
You walk around, you mow the lawn now. It's going to be that brown tinged, like it'll be nice and short. It'll be manicured, but it's going to be an ugly color.
Yeah. Yeah. And you leave like indents as well with your mower. So you don't want to do that either.
Not great.
Maybe raise the mower just to give it a little shave.
Yeah. Because it's going to get a little at it. Because then it's going to. I might not. If I don't get to it soon, it's probably going to be like another 5 days before it's good to mow again because of the rain that's coming. So these are the things I'm worried about.
This is when you got to be the crazy old Italian man in Queens. Those concrete driveways with just the stretch of grass in between,
in the middle. Yeah,
and he's out there with the shears.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He just goes with the scissor like a barber.
I love it.
He's got the Kentucky bluegrass. It's like manicured to like, it's beautiful, but it's literally like 2 square yards and that's it.
It's awesome. I know exactly what you're talking about. I love that.
I aspire to that.
So yeah, I don't know. And then this weekend, I got to beat Expedition 33.
Hell yeah.
I'm at the last boss. I got through the first version of the last boss and then I was like, oh my God, there's more. And then he beat the shit out of me. So, but I was saying on Sacred Symbols, it's one of those games because it's a memory based game, basically about like reaction where like I find sleeping and then fighting the doing it again. I'm like totally much better. Like your brain is just working on it subconsciously. Yeah. And then I get into that and then I got to play Doom still. And then I'm like the only person in the world excited for Mind's Eye, I guess, but I'm looking forward to that game. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but I think it looks cool.
Did you see my preview?
Oh, did you play it?
No.
Oh,
that's part of the problem.
Oh, I haven't seen any of the previews. No.
Dude, that was the worst preview I think I've ever been to, just as a little signal flare warning for you. Still try it out if you'd like to. Maybe it gets patched up, but yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So you went to an event?
No, it was a digital event. So they streamed the game to us, which I've done before. Like I did that with Pentiment, but they streamed the game to us and I should watch myself because they're fucking, I think it was like their co-CEO was saying in their Discord server that people are being paid to give negative coverage.
I saw that.
I was like fuck yourself, dude. Like God almighty. But basically the main thing that stood out to me, it's like I have a whole video of like issues I pointed out, but the main thing that stood out to me was that in the middle of the demo, I've never seen this before. You've been to way more previews than me, Colin, because you worked in press, but like I've never seen this before, so I was fucking stunned. But in the middle of the demo twice, this guy turns on God mode because like the encounters were imbalanced and he would have died.
Oh, I never saw that before. No.
And so he turns it on. He's like, yeah, just like he like opens the console commands and is like hitting buttons and like flipping switches and stuff. He's like, yeah, just want to make sure I don't die here. And I'm like, this is either a really bad save bug that they're avoiding right now, or obviously the encounter's not balanced. But I've never seen that sort of thing. And it was so loaded with glitches and bugs that I was like, this needs to get delayed. Like, there's no way this is coming out in a couple of weeks and it's looking better. Like, yeah, we patched this all, guys, we swear. And I can believe that to an extent, but I went to a Fallout 76 preview and they said the same thing. And that game ran fucking awful. And I was like, oh, I was naive. I was like, okay, like, yeah, they'll fix it. Bethesda's never steered me wrong. Oh. So I learned.
Yeah.
And Mind's Eye, I saw the same shit. I was like, nope,
I've never
falling for it again.
It's funny. I've seen them go into the console or whatever, but usually God mode being on during previews is not weird. Doing it during the preview is weird.
Yeah, flipping it on mid preview.
And because they want to have good gameplay, but
yeah, I understand flipping it on before, but in the middle of it, I was like,
yeah, that's no bueno. I was saying on the show that because I did see that there were negative reactions to it. I didn't realize that there was a preview event. I just in my mind I was like, oh, someone saw it and it isn't good. But knowing this, yeah, I was saying on the show that I'm going to wait for the reviews and see what happens, but because maybe I'll just let it be patched or whatever. But what was bothering me was everyone saying how generic it looked, and I was like, I don't think it looks generic. It looks like a future science fiction. It's like as generic as many things are, I guess.
I like it. I like that it's GTA-esque. That's the thing I was most interested in because of that game. I was not just because of Leslie Benzies, but I was just looking at it like, oh, finally, someone's doing it. Like someone's actually trying to make a crime-based open world game. Like we got Saints Row and Sleeping Dogs. We get all these great games. They just go away. And then they come back in the case of Saints Row in perhaps the worst imaginable form. And they just like, no, we'll just give it to GTA. I'm like, none of you. Like, this isn't like the sports genre where like there's only one NHL game and one NBA game. Like none of you want to just try to crack in and like do a little something here. None of you want to do what Saints Row did and built a whole name off of it. No one. And it seems that way. So mind's eye, I saw it. I was like, fuck yeah. Like this is exactly what we need. And then I saw the preview. I was like, oh boy. I mean, the trailers before told you everything because there was nothing. They were hiding the game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We'll see. I want a third person shooter so bad. So I'm like, but anyway, so I got it. But I got to get through some games this weekend, and I appreciate you guys being here, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
Oh, it was wonderful having you, Carl. Matty, I'll stay with you for goodbyes, my friend.
Sure. All right. Well, this weekend I'm gonna rest. I have a huge headache, so I'm just gonna chill. I think it's my body telling me to slow down, and I'm thinking like next week with all the showcase coverage and stuff, and the podcast we're gonna do, it's probably a good time to just take a load off. So that's mainly the goal here. Is I'm gonna do a little bit of reading, a little bit of writing, and a little bit of resting. So that's it. And play Tate Growl. Shit's so good. I bombard Locke's inbox with like screenshots that aren't even that elegant because I'm just like, look at this shit. Look at this fucking armor I found, bro. It's just like, because like Locke's the only one I know who's playing the game and actually thinks it's good. Like everyone else, like one of my editors, Dan, I know he loves Bethesda games, and I like sent him the video. I was like, what do you think? And he was like, looks cool. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like I was like, a little bit more than that. Come on, this game's great, right? Like so. Yeah, it's awesome. So Locke's. Thank God, Locke's here as always.
Locke, that's a perfect segue to you, my friend.
I can't wait to go to the store after this and get a delicious pack of cigarettes. But sadly, I can't do that. So I have one more episode of The Rehearsal. I don't know. Have you guys seen season 2 or heard of season 2?
No. I've heard of it, but I've not watched it yet. I have HBO right now,
so good. You haven't seen anything on it on the news?
I did see the interview. I didn't watch the entire thing, but that he was on with Anderson Cooper or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Or no, Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah.
Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah, it's amazing. Highly recommended.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I have one more episode of that. And then, I want to play more Tainted Grill. And for some reason, I got really into Ocarina of Time, which I never played before.
Nice.
But I don't know why. I think Brad or somebody convinced me to finally try it. So I did on PC.
Sounds like a Brad Ellis move.
Yeah. I have this stereotype about Europeans that they don't really know anything about Nintendo.
We don't? Well,
I don't know why. Well, because NES and SNES weren't very big there.
No.
And then I don't know about N64, GameCube, and all that. And obviously, it's totally saturated there now with Nintendo. But in my mind, still, I'm like, you guys don't know anything about Nintendo.
No,
what do you know about Nintendo?
We had PCs.
What do you know about Balloon Fight?
I was like a blind spot for you guys. I didn't know
you didn't have Baldur's Gate on your NES.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
an easy way to push Locke away.
We had
you know about Ice Climber. Come on.
We had PCs and friends when we were little, so we had stuff to do.
Yeah, I didn't have any friends, and I had a PC, but I wanted to play games, so so I had a game, so I had a console to play them on.
Fair enough. But it was very, very fun. Always nice to hear from you guys. They're very wise stories. Awesome.
Locke, come back on soon. I'm expecting it. I want a full update. Keep things on the up and up. We don't want to. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you're going to smoke, you got to do it on the show.
Yeah.
We need the ratings.
That's good.
But don't. But if you do, that's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Listen, I appreciate you guys spending time with me today. That 3 hours went quick.
It did.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Flew.
That's a sign of some good pals. I don't have much going on this weekend. I got to do a lot of work outside. We got the graduation party coming up in a month. So we're on the clock.
Renting some tables, getting the tent set up. Are we doing that kind of?
We got to do, well, that's all coming.
Party?
The tents and the rental tent and the rental tables and chairs. But we got to get everything out there just so, according to the wifey, with all the land. It's getting there. It's getting there quick. Thanks to our landscaper. We didn't do much. I got to do like a bunch of stonemasonry stuff, and I'm not strong. So hopefully I get through without a heart attack or a stroke. And I'll be here for you guys next week. But we'll see. We'll see. It'll be touch and go. It'll be touch and go till then. And I think Helene wants to go see Mission Impossible in the theater.
Oh, interesting.
And I think it's the Tom Cruise thing. I think he's just kind of like freaking people out.
He's the very alluring. He's like the last movie star, in my opinion.
He's unbelievable. With his own stunts and stuff.
He's
like
awesome.
People just feel like they need to see that.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Have you ever seen those montages? It's just like, I think Lockie said it was like Tom Cruise running for like 2 minutes straight. It's just him like fucking booking it in like every movie he's been in.
That's so funny.
But have you seen the previous one, Dagan? Because it's a two-parter, right? You must have seen.
But I saw that the previous one from 2023, right, is on Paramount Plus right now. So I think I may watch it tonight. And it looks, is that the one when he's hanging on top of the Burj Khalifa or whatever? Like he's just up.
No, that's 2 or 3 movies ago.
Oh, that's that far back?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen one since Ghost Protocol.
I've never seen one. How about that?
What?
Unsurprisingly.
Oh, that's Matty. No, we shouldn't be surprised.
There once was a channel when we tried to
help him out with that. To be fair, I've kept the legacy alive. I have seen movies in theaters this year pretty often. Saw Sinners, Mickey 17. Like
Oh, you're ahead of me.
I'm on the up and up. Yeah, I'm doing better. Yeah, Locke instilled great values in me. He's been a great dad.
Sinners yet.
Yeah,
awesome.
Locke, did you see the new Mission Impossible? Did you see it?
I did, but I don't want to spoil it for you.
Well, how was it? Did you like it?
I did not like it.
I heard it was a little soft. That's what I'm hearing.
But the one before that, the Dead Reckoning, the one before that, the first part of the two-parter, I thought that one was amazing. And if you've seen Ghost Protocol, you only have to see Rogue Nation, which is good, very good. Fallout, which is amazing, one of the best action movies ever. Dead Reckoning, and then the last one. So you only have 4 movies or 3 movies before the new one.
That many?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I only saw Ghost Protocol because Brad Bird directed it, and I was fascinated. Right?
Yeah.
And but I'll get back into it.
Why is there so many? Is this like a big story? Like, is this the trails of action movies? Like, what's going on here?
That's the whole issue, right? They were always separate movies, but then in this last one, they pretended like, oh, it's all connected, but it's not. It was never connected. Yeah, it was never connected, but they pretend it was in this last one. So it's been 20 years. So figure like 8 movies over 20 years.
Yeah,
so
it's been literally 20. It's been more than that.
30
yeah,
years.
I was going to say Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible 2, I think, came out when I was in high school, I want to say.
Yeah, wow. 90s.
Yeah, I was in LA when the second one came out. So wow. All right. Well, that's interesting you don't like it. I'm wondering. Now I'm curious.
But I'm in the minority, I think, because all my friends online love it. So I'm the only one online of the people I know Hulk also didn't like it. But I don't know what that means. But a lot of people did like it. So hopefully you do. But the previous one was amazing.
I got to watch that one tonight. This is the final one. It's over now.
Well,
this is it. That's what they're saying.
Marketing says, yeah.
Tom Cruise can't do his own stunts into his late 60s. I won't allow it. We have to protect Tom Cruise.
Yeah, he seems like such a nice, decent
from himself.
Person, grounded in some ways, like when you see him interact with fans and like go to these theaters. And
I agree.
He just seems like
How
a
can you
nice
be
person.
Tom Cruise and be that grounded?
Before the movie starts, you get a message from him talking to the audience and thanking you for watching his movie, which is very endearing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen did it first.
Very wholesome.
My friend's girlfriend had never seen episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, and so like he opens the movie, he's like, thanks for coming back, it's great to have you all here as you get to see like the fall of Anakin again. She's like, what? Well, I'm like, first of all, how the fuck did you know that? But like,
I admire that.
Kind of nukes the audience immediately.
That's
what happens, guys.
All right, boys, that's our time. I enjoyed it. All right, let's go around. Little house cleaning, then we'll get the hell out of here.
All right.
https:// patreon.com/lastdamnmedia for early ad-free access, as always. And laststandmedia.store has the merch. For Matty, Locke, Colin, myself, I'm Dagster Moriarty saying thank you out there for joining us today. We appreciate you. We love you. The weeks go fast. We'll be here again before you know it. In the meantime, go listen to your second favorite podcast. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Constellation is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show was conceived by and is directed and hosted by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is my brother, Dagan Moriarty. The show is produced by Last Stand's executive producer, Dustin Furman. All Last Stand theme music is by Ramon Narvaez, and all of our graphics and logos are by Dagan Moriarty. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's podcasts, including Constellation, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest support tier, and we're infinitely grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor.